The road to $10,000 runs through Kansas Speedway. This is round number 16 of 18 on the Nascar IRacing.com Series World Championship. 35 drivers getting ready to take the green flag for 167 laps in the inaugural race at the Kansas Speedway. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, and Nim Cross on pit road to call all the action for you. And Tony, this is the second of 3 consecutive weeks in the series, and these drivers are getting ready to get at it at a brand new venue for this series.
You're absolutely right, Tim. New racetrack, new challenges. This is the wild card, or one of the wild cards, in the final few weeks of the season here at the Kansas Speedway. Running under the lights, and as you can probably see already, nobody at the bottom of the racetrack. This is going to be a top of the racetrack night, it appears, Tim. Right up in the Harry Gant groove, the Richard Petty line by the outside wall. It's going to be difficult to pass. It's going to be hard to hang on to your race car. And before you know it, one false move and you could end up in the wall, in the grass, or worse, in the garage.
We'll put it to you this way. Driving the race car at Kansas is like riding down a bike path with lava on either side of it. It's a tight little racetrack, Nim. Well, I shouldn't say a tight little racetrack. There's lots of room here, but the groove is so tight it almost is like you're walking on a tightrope.
Yeah, it's definitely not as wide as Chicago was last week, and it's not banked as much either. The drivers riding up right against the wall is even going to narrow the track a little bit more to where the racing groove is up high. There is a lot of space down the back straightaway here, but once you get in the corners, it's a single line up top. You have all that room down the bottom of the turn to pass, but it's just not finding most drivers are not finding the grip down there, and we're going to have to watch these guys as they come off of the corners. Being up in the high groove as they are, they're not going to have a whole lot of room to track out, so we might see a lot of trouble spots coming off the corners.
And we'll look at Chicagoland's results last week, and we'll look at the point standings because it got shaken up a little bit. But let's continue on with this theme of Kansas Speedway. Let's throw it to Brian Blackford and the boys at Hot Laps.
Hey iRacers, welcome back to Hot Laps, episode 16 at Kansas Motor Speedway. We're going to talk about a few characteristics that are unique to Kansas and run a hot lap. This week is going to be a bit of a challenge. We haven't had a lot of time to fine-tune our setups like we do in previous weeks. It was just last Tuesday at Chicagoland where Tyler Hudson picked up his first win. Alright, here we go. Really going fast into turn 1, 208 miles per hour to be exact. You want your right side tire to hit that white line entering turn 1. Get as close as you can to the outside wall, right where that Kansas Speedway sign is. Get back on the gas. Come off turn 2 nice and high and smooth. Get right up next to that outside wall. Bring it down a little bit off the turn. And aim for that Sprint Cup sign off turn 4. Bring it back down to the bottom, cut the apron, and we'll run a 68. In 2012, Kansas Speedway went under a massive overhaul. Not too long after, iRacing scanned the track, and it was added to the service earlier this year. Banking ranges from 17 to 20 degrees in the turns. Because of this, you'll see a lot of cars running the outside line. The preferred groove is actually right up next to the wall, almost like Darlington. That should make passing pretty difficult tonight. It's very difficult to run the bottom lane simply because there's not enough banking to hold your speed. You might see some guys try the bottom on the restarts, but by the time the first lap is complete, you might see everybody shuffle into the top line. It'll be very easy to get stuck on the bottom. If you see a faster driver make a move to the bottom, they have to try their best to get that pass done in that corner. Otherwise, they might lose 3 or 4 spots just because they have to find a way to get back into the outside lines. You might see somebody dive into the turn really hard, slide up the track, and just hope that they're clear by the time they get up towards the wall. You might see some 2-tire stops late in the race, just because passing will be so difficult to pull off. Byron Daly took 2 tires on a late caution period to gain a bunch of track position late in the race. He held on to the lead for a number of laps before Tyler Hudson finally took control, but that wouldn't stop Byron's tires from leveling off with the rest of the leaders. Hudson had to make a very aggressive blocking attempt down the back straightaway. Byron got shuffled to the outside and eventually went side by side with second and lost any hope of victory. Hudson has been in the series since 2010. and it was his first career win, and he was very excited, rightfully so. Congratulations to Tyler Hudson on his first career win. Ray Alfalla finished a solid 5th, stretched his points lead out even more over Brian Schoenberg, Michael Conti, Nick Ottinger, and Marcus Lindsay. There's very few drivers who can continually put the effort in that's needed to run at the front of the field every week. This is a very big reason why Ray Alfalla has dominated so thoroughly over the last 3 years. Tonight our race will be 167 laps, and it will be run under the lights for the last time this season. That's all I've got for Kansas. In just 1 week's time, on October 2nd, we'll be headed to Dover International Speedway for 200 laps around the Monster Mile. And then, 2 weeks after that, on October 16th, we'll finish out the season at Homestead Miami Speedway. So stay tuned, PSR TV is going to have our coverage tonight. I've had a lot of fun narrating these last 2 weeks. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It's been my pleasure bringing them to you. Hope you enjoy the race. We'll see you in 1 week's time at Dover International Speedway.
So there is a brief look at the Kansas Speedway. It's going to be an exciting 167 laps when we get going here. Before we do, let's look at points. Ray Alfalla, we're going to look at the points without the drop. Ray Alfalla, 535 over Tyler Hudson, 487. Schoenberg, Lindsay, Conti, top 5. Ottinger sits in position number 6 heading in to this evening's race, and he'll be looking to get a good car here. He's going to start in position number 3. And then you can look on down the list of where your favorite driver is when you look at drops. With Tyler Hudson winning that race last week, Tony, moves him to second in the standings, 46 points back with 3 races to go. It's essentially a 2-horse race right now. Brian Schoenberg third, 74 back. Marcus Lindsay, 83 back. And Michael Conti, 85 back. So really we have a nice tight little battle for third. But it seems to be your top 2 are the drivers that will be contending for this championship and $10,000.
Yeah, it certainly appears that way, Tim. They are the only 2 right now. Well, there are more mathematically eligible at this point, but mathematically, if you get down to what a race is really going to be able to have lost your gain, it's more or less a 2-horse race. Schoenberg does have an outside shot, same with Marcus Lindsay, but what those guys have to have happen is such a laundry list that the likelihood of those circumstances playing out are extremely unlikely.
And we'll follow that throughout the evening. Of course, Tyler Hudson last week at Chicago picked up a monumental win, and I'll bring Nim Cross in for this because he's seen, like me and Tony, a lot of races that Tyler Hudson has been in, especially in this series. He's come so close to winning a race, and finally he does it last week. Now the question is, Nim, can he back it up here?
Tyler's good enough to win anywhere. He's very consistent, and he's just got to put it together. He finally put it together last week, and it seems to, once you get that first one, sometimes you can get that ball rolling and get a couple more. So Tyler's capable of winning anywhere, so he could definitely do it here.
And he will start alongside the number 26 car, Chad Lawton, this evening in row number 5. So he's got a little bit of positions to move up, and the one position we're going to watch when we go through here, before we go to the starting lineup, Tony, Ray Alfalla starting 16th.
Yeah, kind of uncharacteristic for Ray to start that far down in the running order. Nothing he can't overcome. We've seen it already this season a couple of times early in the year, but at a racetrack where it appears to be very difficult to pass, this could be, like we talked about, one of the wild cards that Ray Alfalla is going to have to overcome.
And we have a 35-car field, so let's start going down the starting lineup for this evening's racing action. And on the pole, we have a couple of tribute schemes and a couple of special schemes here this evening. Joey Brown is running one of them. He'll start from the pole. He is driving a car similar to what his father drove on the dirt track at Concord back in the 70s. He puts in a time of 28.932 in what is usually the Barley Electrical number 12. To the outside, it's going to be car number 34, Matt Busa, going to roll off from position number 2.
Nick Ottinger rolls his number 05 machine for Gale Force Racing from the 3rd spot. And Kevin King, a little bit of a throwback scheme back to the days where he designed Kevin Harvick's Reese's car there in the 4th spot in car 29.
Inside row number 3, you'll find car number 40, Joshua Lofton. Outside him will be car number 52, Patrick Baldwin.
We got Marcus Lindsay rolling off from position number 7 to the outside. It's going to be car number 4, Brian Day, and it looks like, Tony, we got another one of those special schemes in row number 5.
A bunch of those, and in fact, we'll talk about those a little bit later. One of them is this one, the TimsCorner.ca machine. Also, tribute to Morgan Shuley on the 26 of Chad Lawton and Tyler Hudson starting the outside of row number 5.
Row number 6 on the inside is Danny Hansen in car number 20. Outside him, car number 80, Brandon Cantell.
One of our Pro Series drivers will start from position number 13. It's Ashley Miller in the 7 to the outside, Brandon Schmidt in the 3.
Brian Schoenberg in the 55 starts 15th. Outside of him, series points leader Ray Alfala in 16th.
Peter Bennett will go 17th. Going 18th is Carson McClellan.
We got Byron Daly in the Newtelligence, number 93, rolling off from position number 19 to the outside. It's the NX41 and Jake Sturgis.
Thomas Lewandowski rolls off. And Michael J. Johnson will flank Thomas Lewandowski.
23rd is Rob Ackley, and 24th, Nick Morris.
We got Brad Davies rolling off from position number 25 to the outside. 81 is Adam Gilliland.
Brandon Bowie starts 27th, and Steven Gilbert will roll off 28th.
John Adams will go 29th, Alex Warren 30th.
We got Brian Blackford rolling off from 31st, and look at this, the Leprechaun. Rich Doucette rolls off from position number 32. Welcome back to the series.
Holy cow, miracles never cease. Hey, it's the green wall. That's what did it, Jim, I promise. Landon Harrison starts 33rd. Michael Conti does not take time. He will begin the evening 34th, and final car on the racetrack also not taking time. Tyler Laughlin in the number 51 as the pace car, Tim, works its way through turns 3 and 4.
The Barley Electrical Last Row Motorsports number 12 going to lead us to green with Matt Busa to the outside. Pace car dives off 35 strong in the inaugural race at Kansas Speedway, and we are green. Ottinger and Brown right to the apron as we go into corner number 1 this time by top. Well, it was almost 4 single file. Nick Ottinger, what a move in the Ream 05. He might have a shot at the lead here off corner number 2.
Didn't quite have a shot at the lead, Tim, but he was able to make the bottom work there where they were getting up to speed. Now look at it. Oh, in the outside wall is Nick Ottinger. Carried a little too much speed into turn number 3. Behind him, here comes Kevin King, and this is kind of what we thought we might see. A groove right up at the outside wall where if you make a pass, you have to get it done quickly. Almost a slide job, if you will, Tim. Kevin King able to complete that pass, but passing very, very difficult here at Kansas.
And when you make those passes, Tony, it's right up against the wall. You saw with Nick Ottinger making a slight mistake. It's almost like a Darlington. You want to stay out of that wall to keep your car clean. You have 167 laps to work. You don't want to ruin it on lap number 3. As here comes Matt Busa on the attack on Kevin King in the 29, down to the inside. Nothing doing there. Pat Baldwin runs in position number 5 with Josh Lawton, Marcus Lindsay going at it, as well as we go down the back straightaway. Lap number 3 being worked on the board. Lindsay looking at Lawton.
So Lindsay's trying to work him over, Tim, and again, you see right there, it's a matter of small nuances in lines as how you're going to get a run on a guy. Then if you get that run off of turn 4, let's say, you might sweep down to the apron. You might try the dive bomb in turn 1. Marcus Lindsay thought about it right there, but just didn't quite have enough momentum. The other downside of this type of racing, Tim, is you got everybody nose to tail trying to be as close as they can to get a run. These cars are very, very aero sensitive when somebody's up on their back bumper underneath that rear spoiler. They can become even more of a handful, and then before you know it, you're bouncing off the outside wall, just like Marcus Lindsay right there.
Lindsay goes to the extreme inside now as he tries to take the position away. They go side by side for the position. Tyler Hudson trying to make his way up. Brian Day also going to make the move on Lindsay. And here comes Chad Lawton in the 26. Lawton going to pick up that position, and he will move closer to the top of the board. It should put him in around position number 8 or so as we come by this time to complete lap number 5. And Tony, the driver on the move, you see the 2-car back a few positions behind the number 1 you're seeing now. Ray Alfala is on the march. We talked about him starting back in position 16. He's moved up to 13th, and he's got a couple more in front of him. Danny Hansen, Brandon Gattel, and the 1 of Marcus Lindsay.
He is stuck right there behind Cattell and company, and just being very, very patient, Tim. I mean, this is a 167-lap race, so let's just assume that Ray has to pick off a car every 10 laps. Not exactly difficult to do for Ray Alfalla, and you look at Alfalla, that Pro Geek Consulting machine, working his way or trying to work his way forward. I tell you, I would not bet against the 2-car anytime the rest of the season. Yeah, you know, he might have a down night or an off. I think maybe it's one of those deals of he's points racing. He's not going to take any chances. He's not going to do anything stupid. Ray Alfalla is going to finish races and finish races solidly.
But you know, with that mentality, okay, I can just ride and win another championship. That sometimes backfires, Tony. Sometimes you don't want to take anything for granted. And you see Schoenberg behind the number 2 of Ray Alfalla, cutting him a little bit of slack, but almost pushing him down into corner number 3. Those drivers have a little bit of a satellite team there between Jay Show and Drill Isle. So you see those two teams working together. But when they're on the racetrack, if this was probably lap 164 as opposed to lap number 9, you might have saw a little bit of a different give and take there, but the 2 of Ray Alfalla are going to try to find his groove again, back in position 13 and now chasing Ashley Miller.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tim. It's all about give and take when you're at a racetrack like Kansas, single groove or half groove or whatever you want to call it. Not a lot of room to maneuver, and yes, you got to give a little, especially early. It's all about give until it hurts. Give. Whoa, Marcus Lindsay. Hello, Lindsay. How in the world, Tim, did you save that race car off of turn number 4? Like we talked about, probably a lot of give from everyone around him.
That was an exceptional piece of driving by the main performance PC Obuto Gaming Cockpit Chevrolet SS driver of Marcus Lindsay, but he is going to fall way back in the running order, well outside the top 20, and after starting up inside the top 10 in position number 7, that is not going to help his efforts, as he's got Mike Conti to the outside in one of the Morgan Schooley tribute schemes this evening, and now Lindsay comes across the stripe in position 26. So a big slide in the first 11 laps for car number 1.
Certainly not the type of start to the event that he would want. Up front, Nick Ottinger has taken the lead from Joey Brown, and Kevin King rides 3rd, Matt Pusa 4th, Patrick Baldwin, and Josh Lawton, Brian Day, Tyler Hudson, Chad Lawton, and Brandon Cattell currently the top 10 as they complete lap number 11 over the stripe.
05 of Ottinger hits the fence, and now the number 12 is underneath, looking for position number 1. Nothing doing there down the back straightaway, but you ride on the roof of the Barley Electrical number 12 of Joey Brown, and we've seen this out of Nick Ottinger in the first 12 laps of the race, Tony. He's walking a very thin, tight rope up there, and he's hitting that wall. If he hits it any harder than he is already, it's probably going to knock the toe out of that race car. Let's actually throw down to Nim, because Nim knows a lot about the suspension parts on these race cars. He hits it any harder than him, he's going to knock something out, isn't he?
Yeah, you really don't even have to hit him that hard. If you hit him just right, you can really knock the toe out of the car, or you can bend the rear end of the car. You really got to be careful, especially with these the softer walls. You know, they're softer, but they can wreak havoc on the suspension components of the car. So you really got to be careful, and it's easy to hit the wall here, and you can really mess up your race.
Absolutely, Nim, and yeah, you talked about this is a simulation, but you know that wall is made of steel. It's not made of concrete. It's steel with foam behind us. There's still a pretty hard surface there that if you hit it just wrong, like Nim said, Tim, it can absolutely bend something. It might tweak the rear end. It might tweak a tie rod, but when you have a field that's separated by just a few tenths of a second, sometimes a couple of tenths is all it takes. Look at Joey Brown. He got sucked in that outside safer barrier, and now that's going to open the door for Kevin King and Matt Busa to maybe take advantage of him.
Yeah, he's in the wall again, Tony, the 29 to the inside, and Kevin King will look to pick up the runner-up spot here as the 12 of Brown. That's that thin tightrope that these guys walk on that outside line. Now the 29 of King, he's going to be on the inside trying to get every piece of grip that he can on that number 12, as he's not going to get it at this point. You got the 34 of Busa following in behind, and also Pat Baldwin trying to make a move on your second place driver, Joey Brown, and he's holding on for dear life right now.
He's holding on for dear life, and look at the other box on the screen, Tim. Back towards Ray Alfala, they're holding on for dear life as well. Brian Schoenberg in particular, he's had about 100 life or race-changing moments as they work now off turn 4. This just shows you how much of a tightrope they're walking. Oh, trouble! There goes Byron Daly, shoved into the outside wall. He got a little bit of help. There's no caution, but that Newtelligence Ford of Byron Daly is in trouble. He's going to lose a significant number of spots, and the first of many, I'm sure, tonight that's going to have an encounter with the turn 1 wall, Tim.
Yeah, this may as well be Darlington Jr. with all these drivers running up against the fence. We've seen a lot of these drivers get up and lose positions. Matt Busa, Patrick Baldwin have made their way past Kevin King for a position. Chad Lawton in the 26 has moved up one around Josh Lawton. We watch around the 31 and the 9, I do believe, is what I heard in my ear. The 41 and the 9, excuse me, is Jake Sturgis comes up in front of the 11 of, that's Brad Davies there, and now the 9 continues to move up through the field. But there's a couple of close calls, especially in the middle pack here, Tony, where everybody is just so tight. Brad Davies nearly had the bumper of the 41 hook.
Yeah, everybody is tiptoeing around this racetrack, to say the least. It's all about stones in a pond right now. Michael Johnson gets in the fence ahead of this group. Now Brad Davies catches a piece of the wall. And look at Michael Conti. We haven't talked about him at all, Tim, and just now kind of realizing he started shotgun just about on the field, way back in 34th spot. He is already up to 22nd and moving forward. So what a race so far by Michael Conti in that 5 machine.
And moving up on a lot of these guys that are tight here, the 41 of Jake Sturgis, Brandon Schmidt in the 3, Nick Morris in the 9, Adam Gilliland in the 81 among this pack, and it looks like Michael J. Johnson trying to get away from all this behind him as the 41 under the 3 at position 19. The 3 nearly gets into the fence on entry. Unique Signs number 3 on the outside, the NX41 on the inside, toe-to-toe at a corner number 4. 20 complete this time by, and give it to the 3 for the time being.
So Schmidt going to get that position, Tim, and you know, you look on the hood of that machine, you see that logo, that face, the insignia, whatever you want to call it, of Morgan Schooley, and of course there's a lot of cars running his name, his likeness, some sort of tribute to him. And you know, for those people at home that maybe aren't familiar with exactly what the story is there, enlighten everyone watching exactly why there are so many cars with Morgan Schooley's name on them.
Morgan was a valued member of this iRacing community, lost his battle with cancer on the weekend, and had so many great encounters with iRacing community members, and you see the support and the tributes that are on all of these race cars. I would say in the 35 car field here, there's probably about half of these race cars with Morgan Schooley decals on them. I know JD Laird was really busy here the last couple of days getting a lot of these cars geared up to run those insignia. As you see the 20 car of Danny Hansen, the 55 of Brian Schoenberg, as Danny goes to the inside of the 9, and Nick Morris, the 41, nearly went down there as well. All the J-Show cars are running special schemes. The 5 of Conti, speaking of one of them, almost up in the fence in front of the 11 of Brad Davies as they go down the back straightaway. The 20 car of Danny Hansen's got 3 wide on the inside. Might be a good idea to get at a dodge. Danny Hansen as the 41 and 11 go side by side in front of him, but a very valued member of this iRacing community, Tony, and lost way too soon after a battle with cancer. And these guys are racing hard for him this evening, and I'm sure that's what he would want them to do.
No, absolutely. He loves the sport of sim racing, and it really truly is a sport. In fact, he was able to get back behind the wheel just mere hours before he passed on this past weekend. So be good for him, of course, to come out to the virtual racetrack. You know, the other thing too, Tim, you look at it, it's not just about Morgan, it's about his family. I mean, he wasn't that old. He was, you know, what, 35 years old, left behind a wife and a less than 2-year-old son. And I think that's what tugs so hard and everybody's heartstrings is, you know, yeah, Morgan was young, but he and his wife just having that baby not too long ago, and now all of a sudden, you know, he doesn't have a dad to look up to, a dad to teach him sim racing, real racing, whatever the case might be, and that certainly is a very hard hit to any family. I know there's a lot of funds, a lot of memorials, a lot of tributes and things being organized for that family and for his son, which is the real heart of everybody in the iRacing community.
The 12 and the 34 now going at it for position. Tony, the 12, and Joey Brown once again walking the tightrope up on the outside line. The 34 of Busa. It appears that Busa is maybe taking a more conservative line here, at least in these last couple laps, and it's hurting him a little bit when Joey Brown doesn't hit the wall, because Joey Brown, if he stays out of the wall, it looks like he's a little bit faster than Matt Busa, but the 12 car continues to get up there, scrape that wall a little bit, lose a little bit of the momentum, and the 34 Abusa is right there. You see it into this corner right here. As you look back from Brown, Busa's about a half lane off that wall, and that 12 car is riding it up there, nearly got into the fence off corner number 4 there. It's a little bit of a more conservative line, and it looks like it's working out so far for Matt Busa.
So far it is, Tim, but eventually riding that outside wall is going to just kill Joey Brown, and you see that car dance right there on turn number 2. It is on the razor's edge of control, and that's exactly what Matt Busa needs to try to dive bomb him, but he can't get the job done. Brown's going to hold on to the spot for the time being.
You're going to have Pat Baldwin closing up on this too, as if these guys continue to go at it for this position. Kevin King runs in position number 5 right now, with Brian Day being chased down by the 26 of Chad Lawton, who just got in the fence. Tyler Hudson, Ray Alfala. Look at Alfala up to position number 9 here, and Peter Bennett completes your top 10 right now. So there's a lot of drivers that are on the move. Chad Lawton on the move, Ray Alfala on the move. And then there's a couple of drivers, Tony, that are falling a little bit further back. We documented Marcus Lindsay already. There's a couple of others that are starting to work their way back. Ashley Miller in the 7, I believe, started in the top 10. He's outside the top 10 right now. Actually, check that. He started 13th. He's actually running 13th right now. I apologize.
Wait for you to throw somebody under the bus, Tim. Oh, gee. But no, yeah, a lot of comers and goers right now. A lot of people moving up and down to the running order. And really, as much as those people are moving, we're not even seeing a whole lot of passing. It's just a few cars that are moving up and down, and everybody else just kind of holding serve right now. Look at Brian Schoenberg right there in that number 55 machine. A whole huge pack of cars running around him. And, you know, it's just so hard to pass. You can see it right here.
And there's Ashley Miller underneath in the number 7, trying to make a move on Josh Lawton and Brian Schoenberg. Is Schoenberg going to make it 3 wide here? Oh, what a move by Brian Schoenberg to try to make 2 for 1. He doesn't. He gets at least 1, Tony. He might try to get 1 more.
Whoa!
Makes contact, sends the 40 up into the fence. They're going to go to the inside. I'm sure Josh Lawton is not happy in that TC's Custom Diecast number 40. Does he return the favor here? No, he does not, at least right now. This could be a very hairy corner number 1. How hard does Lawton send it in? On the 55, he does not. Misses his mark. Schoenberg is going to come out with the position, and here comes the 39 and 7 to the inside of the 40. Contact, and the 39 is going to be sent around. The 7 of Miller going to try to get it out of the wall. This should be caution number 1.
Caution is out, Tim, and fortunately for Michael Johnson, that entire back straightaway area is paved. No contact with anything other than a couple of other cars, so minimal damage on the part of Michael Johnson, but I do believe Adam Gilliland might have caught something in the aftermath coming off of turn 2 there, or at least going into turn 1, I should say. Completely separate incident. I think maybe the right front tire went down on the Adam Gilliland machine. So a couple of incidents happening all at once, and that will bring out the first caution of the night.
Yeah, the 11 and 81 being told that was the contact, and that actually was the lap before with Brad Davies going down, and just I don't know what Brad Davies was thinking there, Tony. He gets into the 81 and runs him into the fence in corner number 3. Something we don't usually see out of the veteran, but tough lick for Adam Gilliland. He's had a couple of rough weeks, but that doesn't look good on the part of Brad Davies. Pit road, very busy place right now, Nim.
Yeah, everybody head down pit road. Everybody taking on 4 tires here and making some adjustments to the cars. A lot of drivers complaining about some tight issues, and some drivers complaining that the track is very slick. One driver missing his pit stall there. I have to see who that was, but everybody's going to be taking 4 tires, and they should be on their way.
Here they come off pit road. It's going to be close. Ottinger going to win it. I think Busa may have got second over Joey Brown in that exchange. And completing your top 5 here, it appears Pat Baldwin. And look at Chad Lawton picking up a couple of spots as well. Going to move from 7th to 5th in the Hollywood number 26 as they return to the racetrack.
And, Tim, that's really going to be the easiest way to pass cars is on pit road tonight. I don't know with the way this racetrack is so grip or so lacking grip, you'll see many 2-tire stops. But if you can hit your marks and your crew can do their job, you can rocket yourself forward from where you were running before you came into pit road. So pit road, a very, very important and busy place tonight.
So here's the question we're going to see here on these next few restarts. Well, I should say next few restarts, assuming we're not going to have any restarts. We're going to go green from the rest of this point. But nevertheless, the outside line place to start here, Tony, it looks like, or at least a place to run. Your inside is going to be where you get off. We're going to actually continue this point after we come back from commercial, I guess. We'll be right back. Okay. Let's complete the point here as we get ready to go back to green. Your leader controls.
Out there,
the lights kind of fooled us there. But let's quickly do this point here, Tony. You start on the inside. Outside line's a place to run. Where do you want to start here? Let's say if you're 4th or 5th, trying to find that outside line.
I think I want to start on the outside. I don't know exactly what kind of question that is, but the advantage Nick Ottinger has is he is the leader. He controls the restart. It might not be a big deal for him. However, everybody else back in the running order, Chad Lawton, Joey Brown, Peter Bennett, they might struggle for a little bit to get up to the outside. We'll just see how much give and take, as we talked about earlier, there really is in this field, and who will give them a spot and let them ride in front of them, and who's going to take it while they still can.
If you're Joey Brown and Ottinger times to start right, they're gone. Green flag flies. You might be able to get up there. As you mentioned, Chad Lawton struggling. He gets to the high side. Josh Lawton behind him, and everybody's going to try to get up to that outside group. Puts Patrick Baldwin in the fence.
And Ray Alfala's caught up in it. Alfala has substantial damage. Multiple cars are a piece of this incident. Lindsay is in it. The 96 Michia Doucette is in it. About 6 or 7 cars, as we said, Tim. And most notably, Ray Alfala. Huge implications of the championship. It happened right in front of him and Tyler Hudson. Hudson got by. Alfala a piece of it.
Yeah, Hudson got real lucky because he avoided that spinning 52 car. It's Chad Lawton and the 2 and the 4 of Brian Day that get involved in it. 96 of Rich Doucette, Tyler Lawlin, Marcus Lindsay also involved in this one. Tom Lewandowski, I believe that is, getting by in the 16. Oh boy, there's a lot of tore up gear here, and not only, Tony, championship implications, but you look at some of the drivers that are going for the top 20 in this season that locked themselves in to 2014. There's a lot of implications there as well.
There really is, Tim. When you watch the replay, you'll see, you might call it a racing incident, but I think Joey Brown maybe could have gave a little bit more. Pat Baldwin way up top, just kind of holding his line, and Brown sort of forced the issue. Again, we know how important it is to be on the top of the racetrack. Brown tried to get there and just wasn't clear. Baldwin wheel hopped over his right rear, shot him into the outside wall, and then all heck broke loose behind him. Lawton was in it, Day, Alfala, the next 3 cars immediately behind him just piled right in, and then it was on from there as the field bared down on the accident scene.
And you know, it's a product of some of this racing here as you look at Ray Alfala in the Pro Geek Consulting 2 car in the pits. It's really a product of this racing, Tony. You saw those guys going for the high side, and Joey Brown wasn't clear, and that's what sparks it off, and we are going to have significantly a less amount of cars than what we did 2 laps before.
No, you're exactly right, Tim, and this might be the wake-up call to the expense of all those involved that the field needed. I think everybody was aware of exactly what's going to happen on these restarts. Everybody knew you're fighting for the top. Everybody knew it was going to be a one-groove racetrack. And as you look at Tyler Hudson, a good break, as we said, for him to get through it, currently being shown in 4th. But, Tim, everybody else now is going to take a breath and say, okay, I need to make sure I give a little bit on the restart, or that could happen to me. We hate to see it happen, but, you know, somebody's got to test the waters. Unfortunately, it was this group that did, and we saw what happened.
And you got a lot of drivers down on pit road. I know Nim Cross is running down there with the clipboard. What are you finding down there, Nim?
Well, there's a lot of very, very heavily damaged cars. We tried talking to the number 2 car crew of Alfala, but they didn't want to talk to us right now. They're really working on the car, trying to get that back in the race. There's a number of cars that are done. Patrick Baldwin's team, they think they're done. Brian Day's team looks like they're done. Nicholas Morris is posting a little bit of damage on his right front fender, but it looks like Brian Day's engine, they got a lot of engine damage on that car after that wreck, and there's a lot of trouble there. 5 minutes damage on Adam Gilliland's car on his team, so he'll be trying to repair 5 minutes worth of damage.
What's that saying, Nim, that you had back at, I think it was Richmond?
Well, if it's not bent yet, it will be.
I think that's what we're seeing here in the first 40 laps or so of this one. A lot of tore up cars, and I'm sure.
Hey Tim, late breaking news. Those
What's
T-shirts will be for sale in the iRacing store soon.
Oh, will they?
Yes, they will.
I might have to get me one of those.
Coming soon. Soon.
Will Nim autograph those for us?
I think they should be sold autographed.
I think so.
Oh boy, oh boy.
The lights are off on the pace car, which is probably a good thing for us because we're getting ready to go back to racing. Let's get a camera on the 2 car of Ray Alfala, why don't we? Yeah, let's look at that. Yeah. There's front end damage, there's back end damage. That car looks like a turtle. As we get there's
Tim,
no spoiler on that car. There's no spoiler on that car. That
yeah.
might be an issue.
The front wheels has got more Ackerman than a bicycle. The bicycle really doesn't have any Ackerman at all because it's one wheel. But it's got more Ackerman than anything you could ever look at. The rear end is twisted. The toe is knocked out. I don't think there's a single piece of straight anything on there, except for maybe the nut behind the wheel might still be straight, and even that is probably a little tweaked right now.
But Ray Alfala, I believe, right now is fighting for the lucky dog with Adam Gilliland and Pat Baldwin's, and Pat Baldwin's not on the racetrack, and Adam Gilliland looks a little nicer than Ray Alfala's car, so we'll see who ends up getting the free pass if we do get a quick caution as we get ready to go. Green flag racing, Ottinger, Busa, Brown, Hudson, Bennett. A totally different looking top 5 than what we had on the last restart. Pace car is in. We'll see when Ottinger goes here and see if Joey Brown can clear himself again. Green flag flies and we're back underway. The 34 of Busa does not get going on the outside line. Hudson makes it out 3 wide. Hello. The 12 of Brown to the inside and the 01 of Hudson going to try to take 3rd away from the Barley Electrical number 12.
Look at Brown try to use the bottom. It ain't going to happen. He is going to lose a spot to Matt Busa. He's going to lose a spot to Tyler Hudson. So Hudson to 3rd. Brown back to 4th. Here comes Peter Bennett now trying to get around that Barley Electrical machine. Can't quite get the job done. Kevin King back there as well. And look at Tyler Hudson. He is motivated. I guess I don't blame him. Your chief rival in the points is now effectively out of this race. As we ride on board that Ada Cyrath machine. Look at Hudson all over the back bumper of that Matt Busa machine. He wants that runner-up spot.
As you look at the 01 trying to attack that number 34 of Busa, keep in mind, Tony, right now Ray Alfala is running 28. There's 27 drivers in the lead lap right now. A lot of those drivers don't have as much to race for. If we have a couple more big wrecks, it could be Ray Alfala taking a 25th place spot, which would essentially cut that deficit in half for 2 races. So Hudson trying to gain every single point that he can right now. If he can get out front and lead a lap, there's an extra point that he can gain.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tim, and I think he realizes if he can lead the most laps and, of course, win this race, it would be 2 in a row, and that would be some extra points for Tyler Hudson on the championship to try to chase down Ray Alfala. We talked about at the very outset, this could be a wild card, and 43 laps into it, it has proven to be just that. And remember, next week, Tim, is Dover, the high-banked 1-mile oval that also can see very similar carnage to what we just witnessed.
Yeah, you could very well see a lot of the same flying virtual sheet metal that we have here in the first 44 laps of this race as you ride on board with Matt Busa closing in on your leader, Nick Ottinger. And keep in mind, Tony, Ottinger has had his struggles this season as well. It's far from over for Ottinger. He's 6th place in the standings and still has a viable opportunity, can really get up on the wheel here. Lindsay's had some tough luck. Schoenberg and Conti is there as well in that points battle. Ottinger could very well end up taking 3rd here if he can get a couple good runs under his belt in these final 3 races.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Tim. So he still has something to race for as well, as does everybody really in the top 10. A lot of money, a lot of prizes and awards at stake. So, if you're in that or even in striking distance of the top 10, you want to try to stay there at very worst or improve at the best. And you mentioned everybody right there in the thick of it for that 3rd place spot. And quite frankly, 3rd place pays pretty good itself.
Yeah, you're still going to get some cold hard cash at a 3rd place if you can get up there. So Nick Ottinger trying to get up there, get a trophy, get some cash. And he was up there last season as well.
Caution is out. And it looks like Brian Blackford has trouble here on the front straightaway. Had a little bit of help from John Adams. Byron Daly was right there behind it. Had the best seat in the house. And Blackford looks like his day might be done. John Adams, very hard impact for him as well. And somehow, miraculously, Tim, that was only a 2-car incident.
And you look at that wreck, and you see it's kind of hard to call that one, Tony. You have the 33 to the outside. He gives a little bit of room to the inside, to the 84, and then he's off the wall a little bit. It's hard to call, but nevertheless, 2 drivers getting contact. The Mud Jug Portable Spittoons number 84 looks fairly tore up here on the left rear corner.
Yeah, it does, and I think he's going to have a little bit of time to get that thing tended to, let's say. They need to clean out the spittoon. And strangely enough, Adams and Blackford right now nose to tail on the racetrack as they try to catch up to the pace car. It looked like Blackford might be going after him for a little bit, and apparently not. It looks like maybe he's just trying to catch up the tail of the field. But for a moment there, we thought tempers were flaring.
So we will collect the field once again, and we will be back under caution. The 05 of Ottinger appears to be coming down to pit road, and he appears to not be alone. He'll bring a lot of cars down on pit road with him. I believe a couple of drivers staying out, including the J-Show teammates of Schoenberg and Conti. But, Nim, you're not alone down there.
No, a number of drivers are headed down pit road right now. We're also trying to get some reports on Blackford and Adams on that damage time there. But we'll see if anybody tries 2 tires this time. And 12 car overshot his pit stop, so he's going to lose some time on pit road. The Brian Blackford car looks like they have 4 minutes of optional damage, but race off pit road, how'd it go?
They come off of pit road, and it's going to be Ottinger leading Busa off pit road with Peter Bennett, Joey Brown, and Byron Daly, your top 5. Tony, I know you saw what Hudson did. Did Daly maybe take 2?
It looked like a couple guys decided to try to take 2 tires, Tim. I don't know if that's a wise move, but we are maybe young enough into this or early enough in this run. It could work. Remember, it worked for Byron last week in Chicago. Well, maybe it'll work for him again. We'll find out. But confirmed 2 tires for Byron Daly and apparently 4 for Tyler Hudson.
We are going to step away now and take care of that break that we tried to take care of about a few cautions ago. We'll step out, refreshing your drinks. You're going to be a good one, boys. Don't go away.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 to the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing.com. Welcome back to Kansas Speedway, round 16 of 18 on the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. It's Brian Schoenberg and Michael Conti going to lead this field to green in the Morgan Schooley Tribute 5 and 55 cars. You have Tyler Laughlin up in position number 3, Danny Hansen in 4th, and Brandon Cattell in 5th. And then 6th on back, Nim, we're down on pit road visiting you. What else you got?
Well, John Adams, their crew has fixed their required damage, and they're out on the track doing laps right now, but they still got about 5 minutes of optional damage they need to fix, which what that means is with optional damage, your car is damaged, but you're still able to go out on the track and race, but you're definitely not going to be up to speed. So John Adams out there on the track right now trying to wait for the next yellow so he can work on his car some more.
And keep in mind, guys, John Adams is the only driver right now 1 lap down, so he is in line for the free pass. But Ray Alfalo was 1 lap down. He's now 2 laps down. He fell another lap down, getting damage repaired on pit road. He sits 29th, and he's the last driver on the racetrack, Tony. That is multiple laps down. Pace car in Schoenberg sees the green flag first, and he is gone. It's going to be a battle for second. Tyler Laughlin on the inside of Michael Conti, toe-to-toe as they go down into corner number 1.
And Laughlin going to lose that spot. And there you see everybody very gingerly through turns 1 and 2. They learned from a little bit earlier in the evening as to what can happen. Whoa, hello, Brandon Cattell changing lanes. Busa thought about making it 3 wide. And look at Tyler Hudson trying to make it 3 wide. And, whoop, trouble. We have got John Adams on his roof on the back straightaway.
And it appears he may have had some help out of the corner. He was all over the place, Tony, and comes right up into the 16 of Tom Lewandowski, and that's a tough break for John Adams in the number 84. He comes back down the racetrack, and it's not good for Adams. Now he's going to definitely need a front clip to that race car if he didn't already.
Yeah, I think his died. The car's still rolling, but just because it rolls doesn't mean it's exactly competitive. But the way this night's going, if you are still rolling at the end, Tim, you might have a shot at a top 15.
And it looked like he was letting the 89 of Landon Harrison by. The Viper was working to the inside. Landon on the lead lap right now in position number 21. So it appears that maybe he was letting him by, and that's what happened. Didn't see the car behind him, and I believe we have a webcam on Landon Harrison, so we can look in as Danny Hansen looks on to pit road in the number 20 from position number 3. But kind of cool to see these guys work from the comfort of their own homes.
Certainly is, Tim, and it just goes to show you how cool of a sport sim racing really can be. You know, to go out and buy all the equipment to go racing a physical car, yeah, it can be expensive, and you're going to tear it up. And don't get me wrong, you can dump a lot of investment into a sim racing rig, be it a computer, a steering wheel, a full simulator setup, whatever the case might be. You can certainly dump some coin into it. However, the difference is when you crash your computer, you just hit the reset button. You don't have to worry about buying a front clip or anything like that. So certainly it's good to be able to see you can do it affordably, and you don't have to worry about being out-budgeted by somebody in a simulated car as opposed to a physical race car. But what's even cooler, you can really catch the bug in the sim racing world here with iRacing, and then go rent or buy a physical car and really, really see where the fun's at.
And before we go down to Nim Cross on pit road, Tony, did I hear something about you're making a legend car dirt debut or something like that?
Oh boy, I knew you were going to bring that up. Well, yeah, I'm going to go putt around at a racetrack here this weekend and see how that works out. I did drive one of those before. They're about 10 laps or so. Didn't exactly figure out how to drive it yet because I'd never been on dirt in my life. But I think this weekend I might go take a few more laps and figure out how to drive it and have a little fun.
I think that was Brian Schoenberg's mentality too, but we won't go into that because we don't have an extra hour show to cover this race.
I made the first corner and I did it 10 times without hitting anything.
Well, that's fantastic. Nim Cross, do you have any stories from pit road?
No, but if you're going to drive a dirt car, and if you're going to do it, you might as well have fun doing it and get up on that cushion and show us all how it's done.
Is there going to be GoPro footage of this, Tony?
You know, if I can get a GoPro, there might be GoPro hilarious footage of this. I'm not sure. You might not want to watch it for sheer fact you'll die if whatever it is and you laugh your butt off. But that's a whole different story, I guess.
We might need commercial break footage. I'm sure Ian is already trying to find you a GoPro.
B-roll!
Yeah, exactly. Schoenberg, though, was out in front of the field with Michael Conti in second, Tyler Laughlin in third, Ottinger in fourth, and then you have Brandon Cattell in fifth. So Ottinger, after pitting, is back up to position number 4. Lap number 55 being worked on the board as it appears that we have 27 drivers on the lead lap right now. John Adams was involved in the caution, so he shouldn't be getting the free pass. Alfala has fallen one more lap down on pit road, Tony. He is 3 laps behind the pace and actually still sits on pit road. This will be a 4th. Yeah, here he goes. Ray Alfala in the Pro Geek Consulting number 2, or at least what's left of it, is pulling back onto the racetrack.
Yeah, I think Ray has pretty much resigned himself to being not even an also-ran tonight, but an also-finished. I think is pretty much what Ray's goal is. And, you know, the way this race has gone, you never know. He might end up in the top 20 or the top 15 and salvage a halfway respectable points night out of this. It's certainly not over. Nowhere even near over. We're not even close to halfway yet. So Ray might be onto something just out here soldiering around, nursing that car home. Although, you know, it just pains him to be limping around out here 3 and 4 seconds off the pace.
And I just saw Nick Ottinger blink a little bit on the outside line. These drivers, of course, are connected to a race server via their internet connection, and you saw it with the 6th place driver, Peter Bennett, I believe, there as well. But Ottinger's been having some internet issues this season, Tony. That's what's really prevented him from, let's say, vying for a championship compared to running for 3rd in this championship chase. So Ottinger is looking to hold on to it. You talk about different variables in a race car that could go wrong. When you look at a virtual race car, your internet connection definitely is one of those things that you really can't control. Pace car in, you're going to ride on Brandon Cattell's roof. The 80 will restart from position number 5. Here comes the green. Schoenberg is gone. Not a bad restart for the 3rd place driver, Laughlin, either, as Cattell now has to put up with Peter Bennett on the outside line.
And Peter Bennett is up against that outside wall as Schoenberg goes ahead and claims that top spot. And here they go, 3 wide. Matt Booster to the bottom. Byron Daly's on the outside. Cattell is the meat in the sandwich. Here they go into turn number 3, and something has got to give. Somehow they made it through there. Daly on the outside, and here comes Booster again. It's another Oreo sandwich cookie as they work down the front straightaway. Somehow they're able to get through without spilling the milk.
I thought they were going to try to go 4 there down the front straightaway, but they got it back to 2x2. The 93 and 80 side-by-side. Hudson on the outside line as he will try to take the spot of the 83 wide behind them now. 34 to the extreme inside. Boys, I don't know if this is going to work or not. The 3, the 80, the 34. The 34 drives it in way deep. Up the racetrack he goes, nearly gets the 80, and I don't know how that wasn't a wreck.
Yeah, I think they wrecked Tim. They just didn't hit anything. I don't really know how that happened, but you know what? There's a lot of things that happen at racetracks we can't really explain. Whoa, Joey Brown! Hello, Joey Brown! Down to the apron went Joey Brown. Didn't hit anything. He has got a handful of race car, and now it's Brian Schoenberg having issues with his machine, getting loose off of 4. It looks like he and now the 05 of Ottinger are going to go at it, Tim.
Ottinger to the inside of Schoenberg as they go side by side. And look at the run by Ottinger. He threw it in. Schoenberg going to go to the inside line. And we are going to be maybe once again side by side. 55 and the 05 going to go at it. Swap a little bit of paint. And Schoenberg and the 05 of Ottinger nearly got a piece of the fence there.
We've got trouble, Tim. And it looks like it is Danny Hansen and Brad Davies having problems on the backside of the racetrack. We're watching all the action up front, and those two got together off turn 2. A relatively harmless spin for the part of Danny Hansen. He did make some contact with the inside wall. Nothing real super. Actually, I checked that. I don't think he did touch the inside wall. So he came about as close as you could come. But he and Brad Davies definitely made contact to initiate that spin in turn 2.
And that's, I would say, number 2 for Davies this evening, is he had a little bit of room to operate on that inside line there, Tony, and gets into we talked about the satellite teammates earlier, Drill Isle and J Show Motorsports, Brad Davies on Drill Isle, and then you have J Show with the number 20 of Danny Hansen. So been a rough sled so far this evening for car number 11 of Brad Davies. John Adams should be receiving passes. Here we go. We got a bunch of drivers on pit road, and Peter Bennett and Nick Ottinger are stuck out to dry. Nim Cross, what's going on down there?
Well, everybody's coming down pit road right now. We'll see. You have to get 4 tires of fuel here. We're working lap number 61 right now. About 105, 106 laps to go from here. So all these drivers are probably pitting for fuel and tires, and hopefully going to make it on one more stop from here as Ray Alfala is backwards on pit road.
So the 2 car of Ray Alfala continuing to have a tough night this evening. He pulls onto pit road. Out in front, Ottinger and Bennett stay out. Schoenberg going to lose a couple of spots here, Tony, as Michael Conti, Nick Morse, Tyler Hudson, Tyler Laughlin going to take positions on the Brian Schoenberg machine. So Schoenberg is probably going to he's going to restart outside the top 5 somewhere.
Yeah, not good if you're Brian Schoenberg. I mean, you already had some issues as it was, but you're still in the top 10, it looks like, Tim. So it won't be over yet. But the thing I think that we're all worried about here, Ottinger, Bennett, and company all stayed out. Kevin King stayed out. Michael Johnson stayed out. They all are on old tires. They're going to be slipping. They're going to be sliding. They're not going to have the grip everybody behind them is going to have. And a couple of guys that beat everybody off pit road, well, they've got 2 tires on their machines. People like Tyler Laughlin, Tyler Hudson, Nick Morse, 2 tires on those race cars. A little bit more grip, but I don't know if that's going to be the ticket right now.
We will find out soon enough as Ottinger and Bennett will restart this race from the front row. Kevin King, Michael Johnson, Joey Brown, top 5. Laughlin, Hudson, Morse, Conti, Schoenberg, your top 10. And while we have a minute, let's talk about Nick Morse in the number 9 as we look at the 20 of Danny Hansen completely missing his box in this stop. While we watch that, I want to touch on the 9 of Nick Morse. He's one of those drivers, Tony, that's moving up through the ranks. A staple in the sim racing world, has been involved in sim racing since the 2K3 days, and continues to strive towards his ultimate goal of making the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, and he'll try to do that coming up in this off-season for this series when we run the NASCAR iRacing.com Pro Series. But the series races that he's had here these last couple of weeks, he's been running within the top 15 right now, currently scored in position number 8. Nick Morse might be one of those drivers that we see contending for victories next season. He could be a Peter Bennett or a Joey Brown or somebody like that that's vying for their first win in the series in that 2014 campaign. And who's to say he might not be able to do it before the end of this season? We'll have to find out. But Nick Morse right now running in the top 10 after 63 laps of this race.
Yeah, Tim, you're exactly right. And that's what's so cool about the Pro Series here on iRacing. You can literally race your way to the top ranks of the sport of sim racing here on iRacing and compete in a NASCAR sanctioned division or whatever it is you happen to choose. I mean, there's not quite the money and prestige on the line in the IndyCar division or the Grand Am division or whatever, but they're all officially sanctioned and official partners of those respective series here on iRacing. But you can race your way straight to the top of the virtual NASCAR ladder for a $10,000 plus check, just like Tyler Hudson and Ray Alfala are doing. And Nick Morse might be one of those next year who is competing for that championship, Tim. And that is one thing I love about this whole service. It's all based on merit. It's all based on talent. Sure, these guys are able to pick up sponsors as they go, but you don't have to bring the sponsor to get in the car. You just have to have the talent to make it happen.
And these guys will roll their talents here this time by as the pace car will be ducking off, this time at a corner number 4. Ottinger and Bennett will lead your field to green with Kevin King, Michael J. Johnson, and Joey Brown, your top 5. Brown hasn't been able to get back up to the front of the field, running in 5th place after running in the top 3 earlier in the race. Pace car in, and the 05 is gone. A green flag flies. Let's see if the 29 can do anything with the 69. Kevin King looking at Peter Bennett for position number 2 as it's a log jam behind them, the 34 and 39 side by side.
And it looks like Bussa's going to get that spot. Here comes Tyler Laughlin. Whoa! Here we go! Chaos, and look who misses it again! Tyler Hudson misses it, and there goes Nick Morris hard to the inside wall. Joey Brown is in it as well. Another 5 or 6 cars caught in it, but it happened when Michael Johnson had the slide job put on him by Tyler Laughlin. Laughlin got ahead, Johnson got into him, and somehow the runner-up in points, Tyler Hudson, misses another one, Tim. He's in preseason and early season form as far as his luck goes here tonight, but that could have been really, really bad.
It's a good thing we talked about the 9 car, because he would be taking a trip to the virtual hospital if there was one, because he took a hell of a hit to the inside. Schoenberg in the 55, I believe, got a piece of this on the back bumper as well. So there's another championship driver that is likely going to be on the outside looking in here on this one. He'll have to come down and get damage repaired. The 12 is all tore up as well of Joey Brown. So there's a lot of drivers that got tore up in that one, and as you mentioned, Tyler Hudson, the big beneficiary maybe, because he missed it, and he is going to be in position number 5 when we restart here. As the top 8 or 9 will stay out on the racetrack. It looks like everybody else will stay out as well. Conti comes down from 7th, but that was Laughlin in that number 51. I thought it was the 34 Abusa running up there, but it is the 51 of Laughlin, and it looks like he's going to come off of this scot-free.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, that he should have been part of that accident, and well, he was, I guess, but it could have been much, much worse as far as his night is concerned. And I'll tell you, sometimes it is better to be lucky than good. Brian Schoenberg, pretty lucky and good in that situation as well. So he too might be a beneficiary of the standings once this race is over with, if he can keep this kind of luck rolling before the night's over with. And a lot of insanity here as we approach the middle stages.
Down here on pit road, we've talked to the Joey Brown crew, and it looks like they're done for the evening, as they've hurt the engine on that car. Also, it looks like Nick Morris's crew, they're working hard on that car, but they're not on the track right now. They're on pit road right now, working on their car. We'll see how much time they have on their damage, but it looks like Joey Brown's done.
Peter Bennett slowed on the back straightaway, and now he's going to try to catch up here and get all these positions back. I'm not sure, Tony, if that's going to sit well with the officials or not, but he stopped at corner number 2, and he fell back to about 15th on the running order, and he is going to find his way, I guess, back to 2nd here, but I don't know how the officials are going to rule that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the deal is on that either, Tim. It's that's been one of the great debates in iRacing. Is yes, the software and the built-in race control commands and logic in the software will permit it. But in a race like this, should it be permitted? My vote is no. I mean, we have live stewards in these races just like you would any other sort of motorsports event. And generally speaking, if you stop on the racetrack under caution, do not maintain pace speed, you lose whatever spots that you lose until you blend back into traffic.
And looking back at it before we go to Nim Cross, I don't think there's a written rule in the rule book that states you can't do it. At least in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship segment of that rule book. But I am one of those people that it was just barely skimmed that. But you look back to Marcus Ambrose at Sonoma a couple of years ago when he lost that race, essentially on slowing down, trying to get fuel pickup in that race car. But Nim, I know you got some more updates down there. What you got?
Well, at first, Joey Brown's crew, they were packing it up, but they got to looking at the car, and they got about 5 minutes of repairs to do, and they were going to be headed back out on the track. Nick Morris's crew's not so lucky. They got some engine damage on that car and 13 minutes worth of damage to repair, so they're going to be in the garage area for a long, long time before they get back out.
So tough break for those guys. Major, major damage on those race cars, and Tim, you keep watching to see who's on pit road, who's not, who's caught up in accidents, who's not. We talked about Ray Alfala, and we've got, about 150 miles still left in this one. There's a good chance Ray could end up in the top 20 at this rate, and it might not be as bad of a point stay as it could be. Still not great if things finish as they currently are as far as his closest points pursuers are concerned. But you know what? Every little bit helps if you're the 2 car.
Yeah, I said that when the 2nd or 3rd caution rolled around, I think it was, Tony, when all these drivers are falling out. If he can stay 2-3 laps down, whatever the case may be, all these other drivers fall out that might have a little bit less to race for, and they don't stay out and try to get those valuable points, It's points that Ray is going to gain. And you ride on with Tyler Hudson here as we get ready to go green. Right now, Tyler's running 5th, Ray's running 28th. There's a 23-point difference there. It was 45, I believe it was, with the drop coming in. So 48, check that. So you're looking at almost half that point deficit cut in half with 2 races to go. Pace car is in. Ottinger in the 05 getting ready to go back to green. Bennett on the outside. Green flag flies. Bennett does not go. Here comes the 29 on the inside of Kevin King. He's on the hammer and he's being pushed by Hudson.
On the hammer. Look at Hudson down on the white line trying to make things happen. Man, that car was good in the center. It's almost too good to the point of getting into Kevin King. Now he's got to fight for a spot back in line. Matt Busa lets Hudson in. Barely lets him in. And it looks like, hello, things are getting a little tight back there behind him. Busa on the outside wall. Here comes Schmidt. Here comes Sturgis in the 41 as well.
Yeah, he had helped to get there. Tyler Laughlin put the 34 in the fence in the middle of the corner, and now Laughlin is battling side by side with the 41 of Jake Sturgis. That is for position number 7 right now. Ashley Miller, Brian Schoenberg in the middle of it, and Miller just cut the 80 off slot job at a corner number 2, and I'm sure the 80 did not appreciate that.
You know, right down the road from Kansas is a little half mile called Lakeside Speedway. I think somebody confused Kansas Speedway for Lakeside Speedway here because this looks like a dirt race, Tim. As many slide jobs as we've seen, as much leaning on the guy as we've seen, as close as these guys are running, as much stuff as we have torn up, I am convinced that somehow we have gotten these 2 racetracks crossed up.
I hope you're learning something for your dirt debut as you ride on board with Brian Schoenberg, looking up at the 51 of Tyler Laughlin, the 41 to the inside of Jake Sturgis. He's going to want to try to clear that number 41 and try to pick up one more spot and then look at the 51. My advice would be not to go to the outside of him, though.
They got to agree with you on that one. The outside looks like it might be a little hairy, but the thing is, Tim, that's where you've got to pass. I mean, this is where you, oh, hello, Tyler Laughlin sideways. Saw what happened to that a few laps ago, but you look at Schoenberg now trying to make that slide job, not going to work, nearly gets into him, and that's what happens to you jam on the brakes to let everybody, or to prevent yourself from running into a guy, and it stacks everyone up behind you, and that's where the accidents come from, is from trying to avoid an accident. So that's the problem when you're on a racetrack with a groove this narrow, that things can get very hairy, and you can have an accident that really isn't even your fault.
Down the back straightaway, the 41 and 7 ride behind the 55 of Brian Schoenberg as the 7 now of Ashley Miller looking to the outside of the 41 of Jake Sturgis. And Sturgis, Tony, might be the only driver that's really using this inside line. He's not gaining a whole lot, but then again, he's not losing a whole lot either.
I think the only reason that's working right now, Tim, is the fact that I believe Tyler Laughlin is holding this entire group up. And that is the only saving grace that Sturgis has, as Schoenberg tries to do another dive bomb, a slide job, whatever you want to say, on Laughlin. Gets alongside of him, as up front, looks like Peter Bennett and Kevin King are having it out with one another, as Bennett now being scored 2nd when they cross the line that time.
Battles all over this racetrack, 51 and 55. The bomb is about to go off here, I think, Tony, as Laughlin and the 55 go at it, as the 01 of Hudson gets a little bit loose as well. And here comes King to the inside as he tries to take the position on Peter Bennett.
Absolutely, Tim, and look at Bennett and King go at it. They are absolutely having a ball. I think the guys behind them, though, are having a little bit less than a ball, as out of shape as those race cars look. The good news is they're able to spread back out again, and here's the problem, Tim. If you get this track position that you so desperately covet, like a Tyler Laughlin, let's say, back in 7th, and you are slower than everyone behind you, well, this is just like running a 1.5 mile short track. They get impatient, they get upset, they're going to try moving you, they're going to try shoving you, and eventually it could lead to disaster, as we've seen already. So track position, as valuable as it might be, I think we have proven that if you need it late in the race, you can take it and hold on to it. But I don't know if I want to do it here in the mid stages.
And you look at this little pack back here around 7th, 8th, 9th on back. I know we've been watching it in the box. It's Tyler Laughlin, Brian Schoenberg, Jake Sturgis, Ashley Miller among them. And you know Schoenberg has a tight temper. 51, 55, there it is. Maybe not. The 55 will get the bump run. and we'll move past the number 51 of Tyler Laughlin. And we talked about Brian Schoenberg sometime having maybe a very short temper. You have to believe that if that continued on, that temper was going to blow up a little bit.
Yeah, Tim, things are getting a little testy back there, and it's, you have John Adams coming in the picture there as well. The lap machine, that doesn't help matters either when you throw something that much slower in the way, but somehow everybody was able to negotiate, get around that problem that they were having, and now things are a little bit calmer in that section of the running order. Speaking of calm, Nick Ottinger, plenty calm up front. He's got 2+ seconds on second place right now as we approach the halfway mark.
And Peter Bennett is trying to run away from Kevin King right now, but he hasn't been able to do so. About 2 car lengths is a gap between those drivers as you watch the 93 and 40 side by side. Byron Daly to the inside, Josh Lawton to the outside, and here comes the 20 of Danny Hansen coming to play as well in the Focus Eyewear Ford Fusion as he looks to the outside now of the 93 of Byron Daly. Nothing doing there down the front straightaway and into corner number 1. This is your battle for position number 12.
Byron, good to see Byron having another solid run. It's not quite as good as he had at Chicago last week, but really, really good to see him starting to get things turned around, and that Newtelligent sponsorship on that machine. I talked to him a little bit earlier about that product, and it's a pretty cool deal. You see a lot of new energy products on the market and all this other stuff, and the market is really, really crowded with a lot of those. This Newtelligent deal is a pretty cool recipe they have. It's not an energy shot, so to speak. It is a focus shot. And what's so cool about that is it's not designed to pump you up on caffeine or anything like that. It's simply designed to help you focus mentally. And I know from talking to different people who have tried some of the prototypes, so to speak, of the product, it really, really does help you to focus if you've got any sort of task where it really is mind-intensive or even otherwise. And so certainly can't wait to see that start to make its way to stores and different locations where you can pick it up. But good to see them as well coming into the Nisswick here, Newtelligence on the side of the Byron Daly machine.
And I think he may have just taken a shot of that as he moved past Josh Lawton in the number 40, and Lawton is falling backwards now. He's got the number 20 of Danny Hansen past him, and now Rob Ackley in the number 22 is looking at the number 40 of Josh Lawton. And there's a name that we haven't called a whole lot this season, Tony. Rob Ackley had a top 5 earlier in the season. I can't remember what race it was right off, but Ackley was in the top 5 in one of these races already, and he looks up at the 40 of Josh Lawton to try to move into the top 14. Great run for him so far.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, top 15 isn't anything super stellar, but it's solid. And, despite having a race like this, you still have to keep your nose clean. Ackley has done that, as now we're riding on board with Jake Sturgis, trying to get by Brian Schoenberg up there inside the top 10. Can't quite get the job done, but yes, good run by Rob Ackley as we continue to watch this battle for 7th. Schoenberg has it, Sturgis wants it, and the 7 car, Ashley Miller, right there as well in the middle of it.
We have worked past the halfway point in this race at Kansas as the 29 of Kevin King has caught Peter Bennett in the number 69 as we are now watching the 55 of Brian Schoenberg, watching behind him the 41 of Jake Sturgis, the 7 of Ashley Miller, and that 41 of Jake Sturgis putting up a solid run as well. Was very strong in the last pro season and was looking to really carry that momentum in here, Tony, but the 41 of Jake Sturgis trying to get one more spot here on the 55 of Schoenberg. This is your battle for 7th.
Yo, and hello, Ashley Miller in the outside wall right behind him, but Sturgis is running the 55 of Schoenberg ragged, trying to get around him, and that's one of the good things to see, is Sturgis having a solid run. Bischoff, not the best of tracks for him in his opinion, not the greatest of nights, but still a top 10 run. Going to do wonders for him in the points if he can continue this type of pace. The problem here, like we talked about, Tim, he's slower. I think he's visibly slower, obviously slower than Sturgis, and for that matter, Ashley Miller, but he's got the valuable track position, and passing is just absolutely next to impossible here.
And looking at these standings right now, Tony, we have a couple of calm moments here under this green flag run. Want to bring in that top 20 battle right now. Josh Lawton has 317 points when you include that drop. Adam Gilliland, Jake Sturgis, Danny Hansen right now is your bubble driver at 300 points. Chad Coleman has retired from this series. He's done. He's not coming back. Casey Malone is back there 13 points behind. Andrew Fayash III is back there as well, and I don't think I've seen Andrew Fayash's name this evening, so that's definitely going to hurt his chances of making the top 20 as well. Landon Harrison is at 264 points, so he's about 36 points behind when you look at the draw, or the race for 20th with the drop. And you're saying, why are we talking about the race for 20th? The top 20 get locked into this series next season for the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship in 2014. Everybody else has to fight their way through the Pro Series, as Jake Sturgis is one of those drivers that does not want to do that again. He was in the Pro Series last season. Very tough competition, and now he's looking to get back up here with Schoenberg. Try to get one more point, as Schoenberg nearly bought the farm off for.
The farm is not for sale yet, Tim, or at least the closing contract has not been offered, but Brian Schoenberg just about had the keys in his hand there off turn number 4. And he's not the only one. There have been a few that have courted the real estate agent on that one tonight. A few of them have bought some sort of property, but it's not exactly the farm they wanted, and not the piece of real estate they wanted here at Kansas either.
And the 41 once again as Schoenberg wiggles the rear end off that car off corner number 4. Now the 41 is right there and looking for the position once again. But as they do this, Tony closes in. Hello, Ashley Miller in the 7. Miller closes in on the 41, and Brandon Cattell within striking distance in car number 80. Down the back straightaway, lap number 91. Being worked on the board is the 41 of Sturgis, looking for maybe one more mistake at a Schoenberg. This is usually where he has that little bobble to Schoenberg off corner number 4.
And Sturgis has done a really good job of using the hill to his advantage. He gets the car low down, he gets it rotated, and he lets it rotate a little bit more, mashes the gas, and tries to use the hill as the advantage. That does two things, Tim. One, it can kind of make the exit a little bit straighter and get a little bit more power down. But two, he does make the racetrack a little bit shorter, and it gives him an out if something does happen in front of him. He's not already committed to the outside lane. So something kind of strategic maybe on the part of Sturgis, but also very, very smart, whether it's by accident or not. And look at him. Here he goes to the inside of Brian Schoenberg, trying to get that spot in turn 1. I think maybe this time he might. No. Oh, hello. Gets into him. Ashley Miller catches the fence. He got the spot. Wasn't exactly clean, but hey, take him however you can get him, I guess.
And now Schoenberg in the 55, and we talked about earlier on this green flag run, Tony, he was battling with Tyler Laughlin, and they made a little bit of contact as well. 7 and 80 side by side behind the 55 is Schoenberg, and it closes in Byron Daly and Danny Hansen as well, as they will be a part of this battle for what is now position number 8 momentarily, as it's the 5 drivers there single file. You look back to the 7 of Ashley Miller, and now Miller looking to the inside, 55 trying to block the move down the back straightaway, trying to stop a little bit of momentum from the 7.
And I think Ashley Miller saw what happened to Schoenberg and Sturgis a lap or 2 ago and says, I know how to get the job done. I have watched this before. Problem is, it's a little bit easier said than done. Here he goes to the bottom. He's going to use the hill that Sturgis used out of turn number 4 and try to do it the same way, except maybe without the door slam. Miller into turn 1. Nope, he'll do it the same way and then some. Hello, here goes Byron Daly for a ride. How in the world do we not wad 4 of them up? Hansen has got damage. He is on the apron picking speed back up, and look at the back of the Schoenberg car. The TV panel has gone somewhere. It is no longer attached to that race car. So Brian Schoenberg, a little bit lighter on the back end of that race car. I'm not sure that's what he wanted, and it looks like he has got a handful, maybe something else bent as well.
There's no front piece on that car, the 80 of Brandon Cattell, no front bumper, I should say. The 93's tore up front and back. Oh, there's a lot of damage to these race cars. Now they're 3 wide going into corner number 3. The 40 of Josh Lawton is probably the only car here that doesn't have damage. He should be able to pick up 2 as Schoenberg falls back 1, and Daly way up the racetrack and almost a 40 in the fence, and Rob Ackley was pointed towards the infield back here.
I'm telling you, Tim, we have taken Lakeside Speedway and placed it here at Kansas and stretched it out. That's the only explanation I have for you. As much as we've got guys sideways, upside down, on the wall, leaning on each other, this is, in all reality, probably one of the best races we have seen as far as action goes all season long. The drivers on the edge of their seats every single lap, probably more so than any other racetrack in the series.
And it's really going to shuffle everything here, as the battle for 8th was relatively close to Jake Sturgis, and now It's not even close at all. It's nearly 3 seconds between Sturgis and Ashley Miller. Josh Lawton, Mike Conti complete your top 10. And now Daly and Schoenberg, the battle of the damaged cars going at it. And look who is behind Brian Schoenberg. You think Tyler Laughlin remembers what happened a few laps ago?
Nah, never. Racers have really short memories. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. And now with Tyler Laughlin with a fairly clean car, he's got a couple of scuffs on.
Oh, no.
Going to move to the outside of Brian Schoenberg. And Schoenberg, there it is. The 51 into the fence, and the 55 is going to try to drive away. And if I'm Brian Schoenberg, I better run, because here it comes. He turns the 55 of Brian Schoenberg. Good night, Tyler Laughlin. That should be a suspension on the 55, or the 51 is the caution is out.
Well, you know, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, Tim. You know, Schoenberg slid up the racetrack and was heading to the wall and had to jump on the brakes. You saw Laughlin jump on the brakes and slow down, but he couldn't react in time. So I think that was, in all reality, more a racing incident than anything. I know it looked bad, but both drivers jumped on the brakes hard. Schoenberg first, and Laughlin had to react and just barely got into him. But I think that was, quite honestly, just a mistake on the part of Laughlin, something he did not expect, a racing incident, despite maybe what we'd like to think.
Here's the opposite end of the coin, Tony, and this is why I say possible suspension. These are pro drivers racing in this NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. They are scrutinized a little bit more than these drivers that have earned their way into the series at the start of the year. If these drivers get into X amount of incidents, these admins look at these incidents, they assess incident points, and if you get enough incident points as a pro driver, you're suspended from this series for a few races. So, you know, it could be bad if Tyler Laughlin's incidents are shown that way. Speaking of incidents, everybody's going to try to avoid everybody else on pit road. Here they come, down to Nim.
Working lap number 100, 167 laps to go. It's going to be tough to make it from here. You know, the drivers will really have to conserve on fuel to make it from here. So a lot of these guys are filling up, make sure that tank is full of fuel. So we'll see if they can make it from here. But everybody's taking 4, but the 29 car looks like he only took 2 tires.
Yeah, Tony, that was quick for Kevin King. He's off pit road over Ottinger, Peter Bennett, Tyler Hudson, and Brandon Schmidt, your top 5. And that's a name that we really haven't talked about a whole lot this evening. Brandon Schmidt has quietly worked his way into the top 5 right now after starting in position number 14. He was quick in the practice, top 10 in the final practice this evening, but you really have to believe that Brandon Schmidt might have something here for his first series victory this evening.
He might, Tim, but again, it's a matter of getting by people, getting around people, and he's been very racy, but he's also been a little bit on the edge of control, I've seen at times, and I wonder if he gets up here closer to the front, if that might not come back to haunt him in one way or another, but we'll wait and find out. A couple of other notes. This is not a caution that the 05 machine of Nick Ottinger wanted to see, because of the fact he had nearly a 3-second lead and was walking away from the field. And now Ottinger is going to have to get by Kevin King and deal with everybody else who is behind him as well. On that note, I think what Kevin King might be thinking, Tim, is track position. He's seen what it means back in the back of the field. It's really hard to pass, and I think Kevin King decided now is the time to get that track position and see if it can work for later.
I know Nim's down there fumbling with his radio, and I think he wants to talk to Nick Morris, driver of the number 9, who's running in position number 28, 21 laps down. Nim, what you got?
Nick, a long day here for you at Kansas. Tell us about what you're trying to do right now.
Yeah, I'm just out here trying to get awareness for my sponsor and, you know, trying to just get my SR back up. Had a great car. I really got to thank Madwire Media, NewCarInventory.com, and Lasser Motorsports for sponsoring me. I felt really fast, and it's just one of those deals. The 51 came up, and it was just a checkup, chain reactions. There's nothing I could really do. So just trying to stay out here and get him good exposure, and try to take it to the end.
Long way to go from here. Tell us about your prospects for Dover next week.
Dover's one of my worst tracks. So if I get wrecked here, I'm sure going to get wrecked there. So it is what it is, and I look forward to racing next week. And also I just want to say all of our thoughts and prayers are with Morgan's family and his wife and kid. It was a tough week for everyone, and definitely puts things in perspective. You know, we're just playing a video game, and there are much more serious things in the world. So just want to thank you guys for the broadcast, and having a good time out here.
That's Nick Morris, driver, car number 9. We'll take it back up to Tim.
And they are getting the wave by right now. Joey Brown going to follow the 9. Brandon Cattell, Danny Hansen also going to follow through as we're going to take a couple looks at the replay here, but we're getting ready to go back to green, Tony, as we get ready to double up.
That we are, Tim, and you can see all the chaos that happened there back off of turn number 2. And it's just, again, a product of a guy sliding around, lack of grip, and trying to manhandle and wrestle these race cars. Everybody talks about how to fix racing at whatever level it is, a local short track, the big leagues, everything in between. There's one thing that makes a better race than anything else. Less grip, less control, you're closer to the edge, and you have to manhandle that car, and it puts you somewhere that you aren't always comfortable being. And, you know, it leads to some cautions, it leads to some action, but, man, these guys are earning their paycheck tonight.
Pace car is in and green flag is flying. We are back underway, and I think there was a little bit of a snafu there, Tony, because Brandon Cattell was flying around trying to get the free pass, and we went green in the middle of that, so we'll have to see what happens there. Nevertheless, Kevin King in the 29, 2 tires, and here comes the 69 of Peter Bennett trying to get the best of Ottinger. As Ottinger on the outside with Kevin King, Bennett might have the best opportunity here.
He might. Ottinger tried hip checking him into turn number 3. Remember, Kevin King, after that long run, took only 2 tires, trying to use track position to his advantage. Right now, it's not working very well. Here goes Ottinger. Holy cow, how did he clear himself? Ottinger to the bottom, vying for the lead. Hudson now up to 3rd as they're all trying to get around Kevin King.
What a move by Ottinger to get back into the lead on lap 104. We work lap 105, the 29, the 01, the 69. They all try to get away from everybody else. The 3 of Brandon Schmidt is in 5th, and he's probably the only driver in the last lap that hasn't changed position as Ottinger comes across the line in 1st, and Tyler Hudson now trying to gain one more spot and put himself into position number 2. Keep in mind, Alfalo runs 25th right now. There's 22 points difference between your top 2 in the standings.
That would be huge for Tyler Hudson going into Dover, a racetrack that I know he absolutely loves, and he'll put some extra work into it. Here he goes, making the slide job in turn number 3. So Hudson going to get that spot relatively easily. Car bobbles a little bit, but I think Kevin King knows where he's at, understands the predicament that he is in, and Hudson going to now have that runner-up position in his hands. And we're going to see if he can run down his former teammate, Nick Ottinger. If he can, Tim, Tyler Hudson might be looking at 2 in a row and a really, really big point tonight.
Michael Johnson tried to make a move on the inside in the 39 Fast Track Sims Chevy. It did not work. The 3 now to the outside. He's got Jake Sturgis to the inside of the NX number 41. And here comes Peter Bennett as the 29 flirts with the wall. Off corner number 4, Peter Bennett going to try to move into the top 3 here as they go down the front straightaway. We are working lap 108, 60 laps to go at Kansas.
And it's starting to get down to go time, Tim. It's not quite there yet, but you got to get yourself in position to be where you need to be when it comes down to go time. We still have one more pit stop. It might be a matter of short pitting. It might be a matter of splitting those 60-some laps in half. It might be a matter of gassing and going there at the end. So pit strategy, if we stay green, could come into play in this one as well. Hello, Jake Sturgis. Slipped the apron, Tim, and held on to it. Great piece of driving on his part.
What a great save by the 41 of Sturgis, and here comes the 40 to the outside, 40 in the fence, trying to make the move in the 41. Here comes Rob Ackley in the 22, the 51 of Tyler Laughlin. The 16 is there as well. Caution is out.
Brandon Cattell has, well, he's had some issues off turn number 2. Let's put it to you that way. He and Ashley Miller got into it, and it's the same thing we've seen. Somebody got loose up top. The guy on the bottom got into him. And both those cars spun down to the apron. No contact with any of the walls back there on the backside, but it was enough to bring out the yellow flag, Tim.
So the caution will fly down the back straightaway. We collect the field. The 05 of Ottinger will get to catch his breath after that move. What a move that he made to take back the lead, Tony. Tyler Hudson, Kevin King, Brandon Schmidt, Peter Bennett, your top 5 as... I'm sure there's a couple of drivers that we talked about the bent sheet metal and whatever is not bent will be. Nim, I think there's a couple of drivers that might be a little hot under the collar here after tonight too.
Yeah, these 2 guys were mad at each other a little bit earlier because of a move Ashley made up in corner number 1. It took out Cattell and Schoenberg, and now they're involved in another incident again. It looked pretty. It looked like maybe it was a racing deal, but maybe it was one of those racing deals that didn't want to be avoided. Who knows? But a couple of some really bad tempers out in the track here this evening.
And Nim's going to run down to the other end of pit road because Ottinger, King, Lawton, and the rest of the field is down on pit road. And Nim, Tyler took 2.
Yeah, a number of these guys, they might be taking some fuel here for the end of the race. Working lap number 110, 167 to go in the race, so about 67 or 57 laps to go in the race. They can definitely make it from here. Some of the guys out in the track, they might want a couple more caution laps before they're going to be able to make it. So everybody's trying to look for track position right now, and those guys taking 2 tires are trying to do that also.
We are going to step away for just a few moments' time. We will be back with the completion of round number 16 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. So you're going to get the GoPro. Oh, we're back live. Welcome back to round number 16 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championships. We were talking about Tony's dirt debut off air, and we're going to leave it at that because it looks like we're getting ready to go back to green. It's a 3 and 24 up in front. It's Brandon Schmidt and Carson McClellan. They did not come down pit road, and everybody else behind came down and took at least 2 tires on their cars to fill up with race fuel, and we are getting ready to go back to green here. A lot of these drivers should be able to make it the rest of the distance. Here comes the green flag. We're back underway. Brandon Schmidt in the 3 is gone, and here comes Tyler Hudson in the 01. Hudson to the inside, looking to pick up position number 2.
He gets it rather easily from Carson McClellan. Look at him now underneath Schmidt. Here comes Michael Connie into the picture as well. Connie started nearly shotgun on the field, Tim. Here he is up inside the top 3, making a run of the victory. What a drive by Michael Connie.
And this battle in the Hornet's Nest is not over, though. Look at Ottinger in the 05. Ottinger trying to thread the needle nearly 3 wide at a corner number 4 to the inside. He goes on the 69 of Peter Bennett as he will try to take 2 more spots. Carson McClellan on the extreme outside, and 05 of Ottinger nearly came up and collected him in the fence as he goes to the inside of the 24.
Carson McClellan was way back in the running order and was not up to snuff. Whoa, hello, Michael Johnson to the inside wall, Tim.
We've seen a lot of drivers save that this evening, Tony. That's not going to be the case for the Fast Track Sims 39 and Michael Johnson. Hard impact into the wall.
Actually, no, Tim, he saved it. Don't ask me how, but he saved it. It looked like that car was heading straight for the inside wall. Luckily, the front tire is hooked, but again, enough to bring out the yellow flag. So Michael Johnson going to be the person who brings out the caution flag. And now here's the interesting part, Tim. Nick Ottinger is going to be further up in the running order. He is going to be, I think, well, he'll be stuck on the inside line. Tyler Hudson, however, will be on the outside line, what we've seen to be the preferred line. If he can get a good restart, Tim, he can get that extra bonus point for leading a lap and move him 1 point closer to Ray Alfala.
And I said he got the wall because I looked back at that car as it was spinning and I saw a little bit of left rear damage. Definitely somebody got him as he was coming back down across the racetrack. I'm not sure who it was, but he did get, there was somebody that did get contact with the number 39 and Michael Johnson, and Michael was having such a great run this evening. We'll have to see if he can get back up through the field as the 41 of Jake Sturgis, maybe the culprit we were looking for, as he is going to come down onto pit road. And yeah, indeed, there is some right damage to that race car. The front is a little bit crinkled up there, Nim.
Yeah, but a number of drivers making their way down through pit road, Schoenberg. Maybe some of those drivers get some more damage fixed. The 39 car is definitely going to need some 4 tires, as this is his second excursion down the back straightaway apron tonight. But each time he's got away with it pretty good. 4 tires of fuel. A number of drivers got their service done, and they're off and on their way.
So they will return to the racetrack now. Oh, a close call there off pit road between, I believe that was Busa and Ashley Miller coming off at the end of pit road, but they keep it straight. Brandon Schmidt will be your leader with Tyler Hudson in second, Mike Conti in third, Carson McClellan and Nick Ottinger complete your top 5 with Josh Lawton in 6th, Byron Daly in 7th, Kevin King, Peter Bennett, and look who's in the top 10, folks. It's the Hickenchicks, number 89 of Landon Harrison. We'll see if we can't get that webcam up there again, and we'll show you a little bit of Landon Harrison, what he's going through. That's the Hickenchicks, JDR Graphics, Tim's Corner Motorsports, number 89 as he runs in position number 10. Great run for the Viper.
Absolutely is, Tim, and from back where he started at, it's always a good run when you can end up in the top 10, and after a night like tonight where everybody and everything has had contact with everybody and everything, to have a car that's relatively clean and relatively unscathed running this well, it's a victory at this point.
And one of the only cars this evening that does not have a scratch on it right now, which is pretty impressive. And I know JDR Graphics and JD Laird puts a lot of time into these race cars. A lot of these race cars, Tony, painted by JDR Graphics and JD Laird, and he's done some pretty unique schemes in the real world. He did some sort of Diet Mountain Dew 88 car for some guy running in the Sprint Cup Series. I can't remember the guy's name, though.
I don't know. Can't think, Tim. Who does drive a Mountain Dew car in Cup? I'm not sure.
I don't know. Nim, do you know the answer to this?
I know it's an iRacer.
Yeah, yes, he did. He actually won the first ever NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship race, if memory serves me. Yeah, that's right. Dale Jr., I guess it's one number off the 89 of Landon Harrison right now. He runs in position number 10, and beautiful looking paint scheme that he has from JDR Graphics, and you can visit JDR Graphics at jdrgraphics.com. He's done a lot of great work. The 81 behind him of Adam Gilliland, and you see the 93 of Byron Daly. There's another JDR Graphics scheme. I know he did a lot of work on the 26 the last couple of weeks of Chad Lawton as well. There's a lot of beautiful paint schemes out here that you can find at JDR Graphics. If you're on iRacing, you're looking for a new skin, whether it's one of these iRacing Class A NASCAR vehicles, maybe it's a late model, maybe it's a Williams FW31 car, maybe it's Mazda Miata or MX-5. You can find it at JDR Graphics.
Yeah, and he does more than just sim racing schemes as well, Tim. He'll do all kinds of fun stuff for you. And I actually had this conversation with somebody not too long ago. I said they were looking for somebody to design something. I forget exactly what the subject was, but I said, go to iRacing or find somebody that's on there. There are enough talented people on here that just absolutely will blow your mind with what they can do graphically. And we've seen it, like you said, designing cup cars for Kevin Harvick and Dale Jr. and people like that. So there is lots of talent, and in this race for that matter, lots of talent in this series. So certainly check J.D. Laird and company out.
And we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing with Brandon Schmidt up in front. The Unique Signs, number 3, the 01. Ada Sign Wraps, Ford of Tyler Hudson on the front row. Green flag flies, and we are back underway. Look at the 5 of Mike Conti underneath the number 01 of Tyler Hudson, side by side. As we head to corner number 1, they all funnel in. We'll see if they all come out of corner number 2.
Conti's trying to work the bottom. Hudson's going to get that run. Here comes Ottinger. Nearly got into Josh Lawton in that number 40 machine. Can't quite get the job done. In fact, Conti now is going to lose a spot to Carson McClellan. He's in the fence back here in turn number 3, and that's going to stack him up off of 4, 2 wide down the front straightaway.
It's Michael Conti on the inside as Carson McClellan takes the spot. Ottinger 3 wide as Kevin King, Peter Bennett, and the 93 of Byron Daly had a moment there as the 29 of Kevin King is trying to maintain a top 10 spot. The 69 is down there as well. The 05 of Ottinger also trying to make a move. There's a nice little battle back here from about 3rd all the way back to about 12th.
Ooh, Nick Ottinger almost put a slide job on Josh Lawton, but he needed about another 6 car wins or so to make it happen. Couldn't quite get the job done, and now Ottinger, if he's not careful, gonna get stuck on the bottom this time. Yes, he'll get it in turn 1. But here comes Lawton with the crossover. Will he try it again? He will not. So Ottinger now solidifies himself in 4th.
Brandon Schmidt's lost a little ground to the leader as Carson McClellan holds on to position number 3, but it might not be for long as Ottinger is closing in on the number 24. Contact back there, Gilliland in the fence in the 81, and they all scramble underneath.
Yeah, Gilliland just cut off turn 4 and it just lost the nose to him. Everybody stacked up, piled into him, banked off of him. Fortunately for everybody in the field, I guess, no caution. Adam Gilliland looks like he will be limping most likely to pit road soon, but that could have been really, really large.
And there's still 3 wide back there, 41, 34, 33, all going at it. 55 and 21 also back here, 34 in the sucker hole. And Busso earlier, Tony, was battling for 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those deals, Tim, as we've seen, it's all about track position. You have one mess up, one foul up, lose some spots, it's very, very hard to get it back. I mean, Brian Schoenberg's back here as well, outside the top 15. It's all about track position, and I think everybody up front realizes that, and that's why you see them making these moves on the restart as quick as they can when the tires are fresh, and then just kind of filing in line, making laps until they get a chance to make it around somebody in front of them.
This battle for 7th is really entertaining as Nick Ottinger going to take 2nd place on Brandon Schmidt, the 69, and the 93 side by side for the position. And Daly still has that damage, Tony, the 69 to the inside.
Bennett by, but meanwhile up front, Tyler Hudson, Tim, just got by Brandon Schmidt, didn't even see it happen, and Nick Ottinger has gotten around to 2nd. So Tyler Hudson leads a lap. Nick Ottinger is 2nd, closing in on the Ada Sign Wraps Ford. Now the question is, who is the better car? Who is the better driver right now? And we've got trouble back here with Michael Conti.
Conti, Sturgis involved. There's a bunch of more cars involved, but those were the 2 cars that took the heavy hit. It happened down the front straightaway, and it happened as these guys were scrambling 3 wide, and Conti and Ashley Miller get into it, and it's kind of hard to call that one, Tony, because they were all scrambling, looking for a spot. It looks like Ashley went to the inside, and Conti maybe goes to avoid. Didn't see Ashley Miller, didn't expect him to be there. The 16 is involved in this one, as is, I believe, could that be the 1 of Marcus Lindsay also involved? Yeah, there's at least 4 drivers involved, but we talk about these pro drivers from earlier. I don't think this is Ashley Miller's first caution he's been involved in this evening.
No, I don't think it is, but again, Tim, you talked about it. Everybody's bouncing around, racing around, and that really looked like, as you said, Conti just sort of turned left onto Miller. He's the one that changed his lane, was Conti. So really nothing Ashley Miller, I think, could have done to expect that or prevent it at the quick speed it happened.
So now we sit here with Tyler Hudson and Nick Ottinger on the front row getting ready to go green. We remind you that Ray Alfala is running 25th right now, 5 laps behind the pace. Are they going to come onto pit road here? Maybe. Tyler Hudson's the only one that stays out in the racetrack. Oh boy. Nim, you're going to have some company down there.
Well, I'm going to have some company down here, but the head chair at the table is going to be empty as Hudson stays out there. But a number of these guys coming down when we're working lap number 128 here. 67, so there's still a significant ways to go. Maybe Tyler's thinking there's going to be some more cautions, or maybe he's just staying out for that track position. Who knows? But still a long way to go here. 40 laps to go this time by. The 40 car takes 2 tires that time out. Everybody else picks 4.
And Tony, everybody else came down pit road. Tyler Hudson's the only driver that's out on the racetrack that did not pit. Well, Jake Sturgis is back out on the racetrack as well, but he's got a lot of heavy damage. Busa, I believe, also stayed on the racetrack, but Tyler Hudson might not be in a good position when we go green.
Well, we say that, and it's really hard to say, Tim. I mean, we saw Kevin King try it. Didn't work too awful for him. Wasn't great, but it wasn't awful. We saw Brandon Schmidt try it a caution or so ago. I mean, we've seen it tried a few times, and, track position is king. I think Tyler at this point might be thinking that we're going to see a bunch more cautions, and he might, A, have more chances to come down pit road, or B, might just want to keep his track position to himself.
And we've seen it before where these races have had caution after caution after caution at the end of the race, Tony, but we're down to 25 cars in the racetrack, and it continues to dwindle, that number. I don't know if we've seen a rash of cautions here lately, but do we see caution after caution after caution to close off this portion of the race? Nim, I believe you have a damage report maybe on Jake Sturgis's car, and it's been a tough sled for Jake Sturgis this evening as he's now on pit road.
Yeah, Sturgis almost got by that incident, but wound up getting some peace after some drivers were dodging and getting by, but his crew's got about 3 minutes worth of damage to repair. Adam Gilliland's, they got a little over a minute's worth of damage to repair, so not so bad on that car. Brandon can tell from a number of incidents earlier on in this race, they're reporting a lot of front-end damage, so that car just not up to speed.
And I think there's going to be a few of those back there, but Ray Alfala, that's the reason why Ray stays out in the racetrack here, Tony, is it looks like he's got the at least deck lid back on that race car in the Progi Consulting number 2. Sitting in position number 25 right now, but if these drivers continue to fall to the wayside, he's going to pick up 2, 3, 4 more points. And if Tyler Hudson ends up winning this thing, those couple points could very well end up being the deciding factor when it comes down to it, because right now Tyler Hudson is standing to gain about half of the advantage that he had, or half of the hole that he had coming in with 2 races to go. It's still a huge task. 25-ish or so points to gain in 2 races. Still a huge task, especially if you're racing a guy like Ray Alfala, but one more wreck like this and one more good run by Tyler Hudson, he's right there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Tim. And with only a few races to go, anything can happen, as we've seen, not only this week, obviously, but next week at Dover. And, even though Homestead is a big 1.5-mile oval, it's a lot like Kansas. There's really a fine line of places you can run. And a lot of it comes down to tire wear, track position, and guys are more apt to take chances as you get closer to the end of the year. And, even tonight, it wasn't Ray's fault what he got caught up in, but he was, in a good spot, really, let's be honest. I mean, the wreck happened in 4th place. He was back there in, 7th, 8th, having a solid run, and trouble found him. So no place is safe if you're the point leader, or anybody for that matter, in any one of these fields.
And if you're Tyler Hudson, you've missed a couple of those wrecks, including that wreck that Ray Alfala was swept up in. So if you're Tyler Hudson, you've dodged a lot of bullets. Green flag flies. We're back underway as Tyler Hudson is gone. It's going to be Josh Lawton trying to fend off Kevin King. And here comes Matt Busa again. Busa is back in the top 5 and looking to make something happen. Hudson gone. It's side by side for second.
I think now Tyler's big focus is trying to get a lead, Tim, if these guys can keep stacking up behind him. Hello, Bennett, back in the back bumper of Kevin King, and Brandon Schmidt trying to dive bomb over in turn number 3. Yeah, I think it's official, Tim. It is go time. We've got just over 50 miles to go in this one, and no holds barred. Everybody's dropped their hair. things are getting real right here at Kansas.
Yeah, single file right now through about your top 6, and then everybody behind is trying to pick up these spots here as we close in on the late stages of this race. Ottinger in the 05 was your leader earlier, and now he looks at Kevin King to the inside as they go side by side for third, and Hudson down to the apron. They've got Josh Lawton in front of them as well as they go into 1.
Remember, Lawton had damage from an accident earlier in the race, and he has done a good job to recover from it. And same with Nick Ottinger. He's been in the fence, not hard, but he's been in it, and now here they are in the back bumper from Tyler Hudson. That decision not to take tires, Tim, I think coming back to haunt Tyler Hudson right now because the entire field is breathing down his neck. This, if you're Ray Alfalla, is the best thing you can see.
The 5 now takes position number 2, or the 05 takes position number 2. It's the 29 and 40 side by side for position number 3 as Kevin King is trying to get there. The 05 of Ottinger on Hudson down the back straightaway as Ottinger tries to take the advantage away from the driver. Second in points, and he makes it look easy here. Slide job up in front of the 01. Hudson going to look to the inside again as here they come down the front straightaway. 134 completed here. Who's it going to be? It's going to be Ottinger leading the lap.
Yeah, I think that was a matter of, oh, look, big trouble behind them. Josh Lawton, Kevin King get into it. Lawton hard in the outside wall. He is going to be riding that wall, allowing the field to go by for a while.
Oh, more trouble in the back.
Trouble. Peter Bennett goes around. Michael Johnson, Carson McClellan is in it. Looks like Rob Ackley might catch a piece of it as well. And it was just a matter of time, Tim. You saw it happen in turn number 1, and those things tend to accordion just like we saw happen there.
Yeah, Kevin King got up into the 69 of Peter Bennett, and the 3 gets a piece of it, and Michael J. Johnson goes around, and he is definitely going to get more damage than he did the last time he spun. Carson McClellan hard into the wall on the inside. At least 4 cars involved in this one as the caution flag will fly on lap 135. So we will restart again with less than 20 laps to go here. And once again, it brings into the equation, we're going to have Tyler Hudson running in second. Ray Alfalla's been able to gain 2 spots. He's in 23rd. He might gain a couple more here. But you get more points if you win the race, and I'm sure Tyler Hudson knows that.
Yeah, I think that's what he was trying to do. The good news for Tyler, he has that in the memory bank now to know what it can do, what it can't do, and maybe have a point of reference. But I think you'll see him come down pit road this time. It looks like Ottinger is going to come down pit road. Hudson, everybody, oh, no, they're going to fake everybody else out. Lots of fakes going on, and that is going to shuffle the running order. I'm still not sure I like where Tyler Hudson is right now, though, Tim. He is on the oldest tires of anybody up front, and from what we just saw, that doesn't work very long.
And Nim Cross is on pit road. Nim, what's going on with those drivers that are down there?
Well, down there, the 29, Kevin King, overshot his pit stall. Remember, he was involved in this most recent caution coming off corner number 2. Michael J. Johnson's crew, he's out looking for a few new sets of tires, as that's the 3rd set of tires he's burned up on the back straightaway tonight. A number of drivers off pit road, everybody getting service, and they're off.
So 29 still on pit road, repairing that damage as a lot of those drivers will come off pit road ahead. We'll see who stayed out here. Nick Ottinger, Tyler Hudson, Brandon Schmidt, Byron Daly, Matt Busa, top 5. Brian Schoenberg, Tyler Laughlin, Ray Alfalla's a couple laps down. Joey Brown is a couple laps down. Marcus Lindsay, same case. And then you have Nick Morris also out there. And then I believe those drivers that came down, including Tom Lewandowski, Brandon Cattell, Brian Blackford among them. We'll see what happens when we cycle through, as Ottinger will lead this thing when we go back to green. Now it'll be Hudson on the outside. If you're Hudson and you think Ottinger's got a fast car, how hard do you push in this restart to try to get those extra bonus points in the win?
It's a good question, Tim. And you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, knowing that time is not on your side as far as the point battle goes. So you need to try to salvage the best run you can. You don't want to take any unnecessary chances, but if the win presents itself, you might take that chance because of the difference it can make as far as points go. So, I don't know. I mean, if I'm Tyler and I can run second or third, I don't kill the car for that one spot. But if Ottinger makes a slip up and I have a chance to go for the win, I think I very well consider going for that win.
And you're going to have guys like Brandon Schmidt back there in third, a driver who's never won in this series. Byron Daly, a driver who's never won in this series. Matt Busa. Do you get the thread here going on? I think the first driver that I see that's won in this series is Tom Lewandowski, and it's been a long time since Lewandowski's won in this series as well. So Ottinger and Hudson, your top two, and then you got a bunch of guys that I'm sure are pretty hungry to get a victory.
And that might play havoc in it too, Tim. We've already seen what dive bombs and crossovers and using 8 wheels instead of 4, 8 tires, I should say, instead of 4 can do for you. So, yeah, there's a lot of guys that I think are maybe going to be more willing to take chances here than they normally would be. But I think they also are going to be very conscious of the point battle. If you got somebody like Schoenberg or even Byron Daly, who's 10th in points, Hudson, Ottinger, any of those guys who are in the point battle around you, you might tiptoe a little bit more than you normally would. If it's another pro guy or somebody like that who really isn't in this for the points, I hate to say it, but you're probably going to use them up.
We'll find out who uses who in these next few laps here as the lights atop the pace car are off. We'll go green next time by. We'll have 18 laps remaining in this event with Ottinger, Hudson, Schmidt, Daly, Busa top 5. Brian Schoenberg, Tyler Laughlin, Tom Lewandowski, Brandon Cattell, and Brian Blackford has put the Snow Cone Productions number 33 into the top 10. Adam Gilliland, Rob Ackley, Landon Harrison, Michael Johnson, Carson McClellan 15th. Marcus Lindsay, Brandon Bowie, Jake Sturgis, Josh Lawton, Kevin King, Danny Hansen, Peter Bennett. 22 drivers in the lead lap. Ray Alfala is 5 laps down. Conti, Miller, Brown, rest of the field. Nick Morse is still out here. They're all multiple laps down, and they're more than 5 laps down compared to Ray Alfala's 5 laps behind the leader's pace. So that's where we sit. We have 22 on the lead lap, and anything could end up changing here as the pace car is going to duck off the racetrack, and Ottinger is going to lead this field to green to complete the 139th lap here at the Kansas Speedway. Green flag flies. Hudson, great start on the outside. He's keeping right with him. He should be able to get second. The battle might be for third here.
At least for the time being, I think it will be Schmidt, Schoenberg, and Daly all going at it. Here goes Schmidt down to the bottom, trying to get around or alongside Byron Daly. Can't quite do it. And Schoenberg on the outside wall. Schmidt sideways down the bottom of the racetrack. Oh boy, we've got 20-some laps to go this time, and the party's just getting started.
And here comes Tyler Laughlin in the number 51. The 80 of Brandon Cattell is there as well, and he is going to get into him. Oh boy, that was close.
Why do we not have 16 cars on the roof, Jim? That was a disaster. Plain and simple. That's what we should have seen there.
Rob Ackley has moved into 7th, and I believe if that 51 can get back up to the number 80, I don't think this is over. Look at the 33 of Brian Blackford as well, trying to get up here. And, folks, that is Ray Alfala, 5 laps down as the 33 and 51 nearly have a moment. The 81 of Adam Gilliland to the inside, the 2 of Ray Alfala to the extreme outside. Alfala is not on the lead lap as these guys go at it for about 10th or so on position.
What? Wait, Ray Alfala found some speed in the pits? What? Well, that's only about 130 laps too late after his accident. Great job by them to get that car ready to roll, and Ray for persevering to get it at least the point it's rolling around. Good news, another caution flag. Ray Alfala is the lucky dog, the free pass car. The bad news, he is 5 laps down, and time is not on his side either. 25 laps to go this time as 142 now goes in the books, Tim.
Top 4 have separated themselves from the rest of the field. Rob Ackley on the inside as he will lose a few spots here. Brian Schoenberg is going to move up. Brandon Schmidt is going to move up as well. Brandon Cattell in the 80 going to move up a spot on Rob Ackley. So it looks like Ackley going to fall back a little bit here as Tyler Laughlin has the 33 to his back bumper, as the 80 got the fence, as he battles with the 22, and now the 51 has to play defense on about 3 cars back here, and it might not play out well for him.
And we've seen this song and dance before, and this is about how it ended up. Brian Blackford goes around into the outside wall, and no one else catches a piece of him somehow, but that will bring out the caution flag once again, Tim.
And a tough break for Brian Blackford after running so well this evening, well up in the top 10, and just a product of this racing, Tony. 51 gets up into the fence, 33 checks up, 81 does not, and then, the first time they make contact, Tony, the 81 gets into the 33, is loose, chases him down the racetrack, and he gets into him again. I know he was a little bit loose in that number 81, trying to get the handle of that race car, but he just, when he was trying to save it, he didn't let up.
Yeah, and I don't know what the motivation was behind that, but either way, it happened, and Brian Blackford now is a little bit worse for the wear because of it.
I believe we are going to step away here, as all these drivers should stay out on the racetrack. We are going to wait, but I don't think, Tony, there's anybody going to come down pit road. I don't think you can risk it here with 22 to go.
Tyler Hudson's going to try, I think. He's going to make a left-hand turn. Byron Daly's coming down. Nope. Big fake once again. So they tried to play mind games with Nick Ottinger. It didn't work, so it looks like everybody in the top 10 or so is going to stay on the racetrack.
Brandon Cattell will come down from 8th place, and about half the drivers behind him will come down pit road. We'll step away. We'll get Nim Cross busy down there, and we'll let you know what happens following the commercial break. Don't go away. We'll be right back with the conclusion of this race.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR IRacing. So the highlights of that GoPro can be found on your YouTube channel, right? Oh, welcome back to round number 16 of the NASCAR IRacing.com Series World Championship at Kansas Speedway. Tim Terry, Tony Stevens, and Nim Cross here to call all what is left of 20 laps. Will be 19 this time by. And boys, I don't think we've seen our last caution flag of the evening.
I think you might be right, Tim. And I think that's a reason why a lot of these guys up front have stayed out because of that fear. Now, it's hard to believe we'll have 148 laps complete when we come out of the stripe, which leaves 19 circuits to go. Normally, that's not a long race, but the way this race has gone, that is a pretty long time for a lot of things still to happen.
Speculation down here on pit road is that if it's not yet bent, it will be.
And if you're the case of the 93, you're already bent on the front and rear ends, and you are running third right now to Nick Ottinger and Tyler Hudson. So we will see what is bent in the next 19 laps of this race. Ottinger leads and is gone. Tyler Hudson spins the tires, and here comes Daly to the inside. Daly quickly to second, and Hudson has to hold his breath and has to play defense because here comes Schmidt on the inside in the 3.
Wow. And again, we talked about Tyler having the oldest tires of anybody up front. It shows right here on this restart when he spins them. Now, Byron Daly, good run for that Newtelligence machine. We talked about it. He must have had a focus shot before he climbed in the car or on one of those recent pit stops because he has been going no direction but forward. The only problem is, can he catch and do anything with Nick Ottinger? We haven't seen a lot of people do that, and here comes Hudson slide jobbing it on Byron Daly. So moves Hudson back to P2.
And now Daly looking at the 01 once again down the back straightaway. The 93 going to look at the 01 for position number 2. And keep in mind, last week, Tony, Byron Daly and Tyler Hudson were both going for their first win in this series. It ended up with Tyler Hudson getting the victory. No, Byron's got a little bit of damage here, but I know he remembers last week with that coulda, woulda, shoulda at Chicagoland to try to get that first victory. I'm sure if that happens again that he might try a little bit differently, I guess.
Yeah, he might try it a little bit harder, Tim, because of that race in Chicago. And I'll tell you one thing, again, between Daly, who just wants a win, between Hudson, who needs a win, between Ottinger, who wants to get his season back on track, and everybody else up here in the top 5, top 10 for that matter, there's a lot of motivation to make your way forward if you're behind any of these wheels. And that's, again, why this is so cool when you see so many guys driving with those different motivations. There are very few people up front who are here just to have a good points day.
We're watching the 34 and 3 as we go at it for position number 4. Byron Daly just in front of this battle. It's about a half second or so between this battle and Tyler Hudson, and about 0.3 of a second between Tyler and Ottinger as they run about the same lap time. Ottinger a little bit quicker that last time by. And as this battle gets close to 3, pitched it into the 34. Nowhere to go, though, as they continue on this battle. It's going to close in Tyler Laughlin and Rob Ackley in 7th.
Yeah, they are going to close in. In fact, even behind them, you've got Adam Killen, Lewandowski going at it as you ride on board with Brandon Schmidt right now. You see Matt Pusa in front of him, Byron Daly immediately in front of him, and in the mirror, you've got the 51 of Tyler Laughlin still somehow surviving, having a good run as you see Schmidt in the outside wall. And now here comes Laughlin to his inside, going to try to get that spot.
51 looking to take away the spot. 3 up into the
oh, here
51 going to join him there. The 22 of Rob Ackley. Get low. Ackley going to move into position number 5. Goodbye Schmidt. Goodbye Laughlin. We're 4 wide behind, and there it goes. We got the 20 around. The 16 around. Caution flag will fly.
You knew it was going to happen. They came to that scene about 4 wide on a car that was 20 or 30 miles an hour slower. Nowhere to go. Somebody made a move, and around they went. And you know what this means? Tyler Hudson, Nick Ottinger get to go at it one more time.
And, looking at that down there, you talked about it being 3 and 4 wide. It looked like Jake Sturgis came off the bottom like there was nobody on his outside, or at least they weren't 4 wide. Maybe he expected that third car out there, the 16 of Lewandowski, maybe to be a little bit higher. It might have been a little bit of contact as well, Tony, but it appears the 41 may have come off that inside line, expecting there wasn't 4 wide as opposed to maybe being 3 wide, and that's what sparks a little bit of that there this evening is the 16 and the 20, and we talk about those satellite teammates as we did off the top of the show, Drill Isle and Jay Show. None of they're doing, but they're swept up in it.
Yeah, exactly, Tim, and it's been the theme of the night because it's such a narrow racetrack, narrow racing group. If you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, there's not a whole lot you can do about it at all.
So the caution flag flies again. We're going to have less than 10 laps when we go back to green. Ottinger and Hudson are going to be your top 2. We'll have to see if Hudson can go without spinning the tires. That was a close call on that last restart.
Yeah, it really was, and I think maybe it allowed Tyler to realize how bad off his tires were. Here comes everybody else behind about the top 7 or 8 on the, well, I say everybody else, Schoenberg, Laughlin, and a couple of others on the pit road right now. There's not a lot of other guys, I think, that could really benefit from new tires, Tim. If they could, they've got cars that look like they've been to the junkyard and back.
I think Ian Bushing is going to get the replay queued up again. There's a lot of chat within the peanut gallery, I guess we can call it, Tony, in the spectator chat within the server about a rule on the restart about lane changes. You cannot change your lane prior to the start-finish line, and a lot of drivers and a lot of spectators, I guess, are complaining about Tyler Hudson's restart. It's a close call for those officials. You can look back at it. As soon as he spins the tires, he starts to look down to that inside line. It looks to me like it's fine, but that's not my call to make. It's the official's call to make. He does spin the tires. He does come down a little bit, but does he come down that full lane for the officials to penalize him is a different story, but I don't think he does.
There's still a lane underneath of him, and the hard part is there's nobody next to him to really judge it by, but it looked like you could stick a car underneath of him, no problem. And, it's close. It's borderline, but I don't really think there's enough there to make any sort of call.
And he runs now in position number 2 as we'll go back to green flag racing, I believe, in 2 laps. So we will have a restart with probably 8 laps to go in this one. Ottinger, Hudson, and then you have Byron Daly. He's got that front and rear damage. I don't know if he has enough to really keep up with these drivers, but we've seen weirder things up front. Something happens to those two, we could end up having Byron Daly as a first-time winner in this series. Then you got Matt Busa, and then what a beautiful move by Rob Ackley to put himself in the top 5 after the 3 and 51 had their little disagreement, I guess we can say, Tony, as Ackley finds himself into the top 5.
Yeah, he has survived. He's picked his way through the carnage in a very methodical way and done a good job at it. And for that matter, look at Jake Sturgis back there who spun, Adam Gilliland who's been on the wall a few times, Michael Johnson who's had bad luck and a few encounters with other things and people. It's like we talked about, Tim. It's all about survival right now. If you can keep the car clean, keep yourself in good track position, you'll have a good run, and that really describes most of the top 10 right now.
Ray Alfala gets the free pass. He's 3 laps down now as he continues to click them off. We got 2 more to get if you're Ray Alfala. I don't think you're going to get 2 more cautions, though, on this one, or 3 more cautions, I guess it is. 23rd place right now. Tyler Hudson knows, I'm sure he knows where Ray Alfala is running. As we get ready to go back to green, I'm sure those couple extra points would help if you're Tyler Hudson.
They certainly would. In fact, if you can get him up to the lead, Tim, if you're Tyler Hudson, that's an extra 3 points. Right now, the gap is approximately 22 points because Tyler's led a lap and Ray hasn't. That would almost cut the deficit in half. If you count the drop races so far this season, it would cut the deficit almost in half. It would be down from 46 to 24. However, if Tyler can get to the lead, that's an extra 3 markers. And that would go from 21 to 24 points, which would be more than 50% of the lead after the drop races.
And I'm sure Tyler Hudson's been clenching that math, or at least doing it inside that race car, or his crew chief might be doing it. It's still a big hill to climb, but it's definitely more doable than it was coming into this evening. With that 48-point spread between those 2 positions. Pace car going to tuck off here. 159 going to be completed here. So we will have 8 laps to go. Hudson and Ottinger playing games with each other on this restart. Busa in the fence. We got one car that did not go in the back. I don't know how these guys are still green, but somehow they are. And now Daly looking at the 01.
And when I stay green for long, that caution's out, Tim. Caution is out with that insanity. Or no, actually, yeah, we're still green. And I thought maybe it was out there for a second, but nonetheless, we are rolling. And look at Hudson all over the back bumper of Nick Ottinger, trying to find something in these final 7 or 8 laps to get by the Ream machine.
Yeah, he's got to get rolling and maybe hope for some green flag running here as they continue to go green flag racing. Adam Gilliland in the 81 is also under fire from the 41 of Jake Sturgis. Sturgis going to look to the inside of the 81 of Gilliland. Down the back straightaway, the Gary Mercer, number 81, trying to hold on to the position. There's battles all over this racetrack, Tony, as it looks like the 01 is closing in on the 05.
He was maybe slightly faster at the end of that last run, Tim. It was really, really questionable when you look at it. Oh, and here goes Brian Blackford around on turn number 4.
Josh Lawton also involved in this one. Mike Conti somehow gets away from that. There's one car in the infield there. I didn't get a number on that. That's a 12 of Joey Brown. Caution flag will fly. And it looks like it begins with the 40 and 33. And I don't know how many times I've said this before, Tony, but it's a product of this race. And the 40 gets on the inside trying to make a move. Gets a little bit loose. The 33 on the outside is an innocent victim by the looks of it in this one. And as is the 12 of Joey Brown, who tried to get that inside move and tried to get away from this wreck. So there's 3 more involved. And we are back under caution.
Well, this means if you're Tyler Hudson, you need to have the restart of your life, Tim. There is very little time for you to run down Nick Ottinger now. You've got to do it on what you've got on the car, and you've got to do it well. You pretty much have to jump him on the restart. Or, I mean, you could always pull a Carl Edwards. Remember, this was the racetrack. Carl Edwards thought he was iRacing and decided that, he wanted to sail it off into turn 3 on Jimmy Johnson. You know what? Tyler Hudson might decide to sail it off with a turn 3 on Nick Ottinger, use him as a bank board, and try to drag race him to the line.
Yeah, definitely. You have to lay everything on the line here, Tony. If you're Tyler Hudson, you really have to be on this thing and take it away from Ottinger. If you're Ottinger, I'm sure you know that Tyler Hudson's running for a championship. And I'm sure you know that he's trying to get this thing wrapped up, at least to move a little bit closer to Ray Alfala. So you know he's going to be going hard. You know you want another win. It's been a little while since you've won, albeit you've won a lot this season. You want to win one more race. Then if you're Byron Daly, Matt Busa, and Adam Gilliland, Adam's won in this series before. He won Daytona to start off this year. But you have Daly and Busa back here as well that are looking to make a splash in this series. And if those top 2 have an issue, it's fair game.
Yeah, it really is. And I think well, there's no thinking, Tim. We're going to see a lot of bonsai moves in these last couple of laps. If you're Tyler Hudson, you've got to try something. And maybe the caution comes out when you're nose to head in Nick Ottinger. Maybe it doesn't. Who knows? Same if you're Byron Daly or Matt Busa or really any of these guys. Try something. Make something happen because you know you're going to have very little, if any, time to make it happen.
And we will get ready to go back to green momentarily. 164 being worked on the board right now. And looking back throughout your top 10, we talked about Adam Gilliland making a run to the front, currently in 5th. Jake Sturgis, Rob Ackley, Michael Johnson, Kevin King, and Landon Harrison showed as your top 10 the last time by the stripe. You still have 22 on the lead lap. Ray Alfala should be 2 back now when he gets the free pass in this caution. You still got Danny Hansen, Brandon Cattell, Tom Lewandowski, Tyler Laughlin, Brandon Schmidt, Brian Schoenberg, Brandon Bowie, who is that car that did not get going on that last restart, but mid-pack, he runs in 17th. Marcus Lindsay, Peter Bennett, Carson McClellan, top 20, and then Blackford and Lawton complete your top 22 that are on the lead lap. Ray Alfala, 3 laps down, should be 2 laps down with the free pass. Mike Conti is 10 laps down. Actually, yeah, you mentioned it, no free pass within 10 laps, so that's not going to happen. Conti, Joey Brown's done. Nick Morris is still on the racetrack, 21 laps back. He should be able to gain at least one more spot on Joey Brown if he stays in the garage area. Everybody else, I believe, is out of this race from Ashley Miller on back. So 25 are on the racetrack right now as we get ready to go green. Lights are out. We'll have a green-white checker to decide this thing. Or at least a green-white at least something. A green. Or green.
How about
yes.
a green?
How about that? Yeah.
Yeah, a green something. We're not sure what the next flag will be, but it will be a race to the next flag after the green. How about that? As Hudson and Ottinger are playing games with each other right now. I'm not sure if I want to be doing that coming down to the end of the race, but you know what? That sometimes is a good thing if you're the guy trying to win the race. Sometimes it's not. But it happens every single week. And it looks like Ottinger is going to try to lag back and lure the 01 machine back here into his clutches, but I don't think that's going to happen.
And keep in mind, with this sim, if these leaders hit the white flag, the next flag will be the checkered. They will be able to race back to the checkered flag because the sim will not trigger the yellow flag after the white flag flies. So the green flag will fly here. If the caution flag flies in this next lap, race is over. Ottinger is gone. Green flag flies, and the 01 of Tyler Hudson is going to try to play chase. He's now back to second.
Whoa!
What kind of move does he do? To the inside he goes. The 01 of Hudson going to try to make this thing work. What a slide job up the racetrack by the 01.
Oh, he did the crossover, did Ottinger. Side by side, he nearly puts him in the wall. Here comes Daly to the inside. Hudson's going to sail it off into turn number 3. White flag in the air for the top 3 this time.
And the 93 of Byron Daly may have sealed up this win as Hudson in the fence off corner number 4. White flag will fly. We will race this back to the checkered, but it's a battle for third. Matt Busa to the inside, and here comes Jake Sturgis on the 81 of Adam Gilliland. Daly gets away with this. It's now a battle for fourth as the 41 to the inside of the 34. 3 wide down the back straightaway as these guys go for fourth. Up in front, Nick Ottinger in the Rheem Chevrolet cruises through 3 and 4, and the 05 will come to the checkered flag first. Ottinger wins at Kansas. Going to be Hudson for second, Daly for third, and I believe Sturgis got Matt Busa for fifth as Gilliland was bouncing like a bowling ball off everybody else, and he will finish in sixth.
Yeah, things were getting crazy back in the back of the field. You say the back from about fourth on back for that matter, Tim. But they were digging hard, going at it. Good runs by a lot of guys up front. Sturgis, Busa in particular inside the top 5 for, I believe, the first time this year. And Nick Ottinger once again to victory lane. If it was not for his bad luck earlier in the season, he would be in the thick of this points battle as well. But still a good points night for both him and Tyler Hudson as Ray Alfala and his horrible, horrible luck. Ray picked up a spot on the last lap to 22nd. So the gap will be 20 points less between Tyler Hudson, actually 21 points less between Hudson and Alfala going into Dover next weekend.
Here's another stat. Ottinger picks up his 5th victory of the season. Regardless what anybody does in the next 2 weeks, Nick Ottinger will leave this 2013 campaign as the winningest driver in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship for this season. So the Rheem Chevrolet will go to victory lane. You see him letting it up on the front straightaway, and we will begin to set up for the post-race show in just a few moments' time, as I believe there's a J-Show tribute as well in corner number 1, as the J-Show teammates are doing a slow tribute lap, and I believe that is to Morgan Schooley as they do their cool-down lap as well. So pretty cool tribute by those drivers in corners number 1 and 2. Ottinger is your winner. We step away. We bring you back with the post-race show in just a few moments.
It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Drivers, start your engines!
Michael Conti comes up at a corner number 4 in the checkered flag. He wins his first NASCAR iRacing. Welcome back to round number 16 of the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship from the Kansas Speedway. Exciting race, very exciting finish, and your winner is driver 05, taking his 5th win of the season, Nick Ottinger. He's down with Nim Cross, and Nim, got to ask him about that last lap, or second last lap pass on Tyler Hudson.
Yeah, Nick, great job on the win tonight here at Kansas, the Kansas 250 and the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Is absolutely a fabulous finish that had some slide jobs that would make Tony Stewart proud from Eldora Speedway. Tell us about that last lap pass.
Man, I don't know where to begin, man. I'm pretty dang happy with the way that race was, even if I didn't get the win. I mean, that was some good hard racing from Tyler and myself. I know we had the car that won tonight and just had to make our passes count. I mean, it's so hard to get a run off that bottom because you got so much momentum built up on that top. But I mean, I knew he was going to drive it in there, and I mean, anyone would. But luckily, we just had just enough room just to do a little crossover and have a good finish.
Yeah, the crossovers, it's not an easy move, especially how slippery this track was. Tell us how difficult that move is.
It's pretty difficult. You got to time it just right, unless you're gonna the person in front of you is gonna have to slide up. If Tyler was a dirty racer, he would have tried to brake check me a little earlier, stop the crossover. But I mean, me and him race clean the whole season, and me and him know how to race each other. I mean, we race hard each and every time we're near each other. It's so fun. It was a fun race tonight. I mean, I know we had a decent amount of cautions, but I mean, you had to work for a pass, and that's really what the series needed. I mean, we needed to work for a pass.
Nick, it was a lot of cautions out there tonight, a lot of wrecks out there on the track. Did they ever get close to you?
I didn't see none. No. The spotters kept telling me they were a wreck whenever the last, I'll say, like 30 laps, there a caution come out after a couple of laps on the restarts, and they'd say a caution come out and big wreck behind you or something. But I just kept putting my eyes forward, trying to run smooth laps as I can. I mean, that's all you can do.
Dover in 2 weeks. It's another challenging track. What are your prospects for there? Dover next week, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty high hopes, man. I didn't even expect the race tonight because me and my parents were going to go on vacation earlier this morning, but we pushed that back tonight, and I was really just trying to work on the car just to get it good for all of my teammates and all that, and the couple guys we work with. Just Dover, I expect to run well. We didn't have a good car there last season, but we drove the heck out of the car to try and finish top 5, in which we got 3rd. But it would be a pretty good showing if we can get the setup right. Tonight was a very indication of we know how to work well together and all that. So hopefully we can bring a good piece to Dover.
Nick, I know it's not easy to hook these cars up, especially at the level you guys are doing it. Who's helping you make it happen?
First and foremost, I want to say for this track it was difficult to set up because none of us ever ran this type of track at the high speeds we are. I couldn't have done it without the help of my teammates at Gale Force Racing. I know Michael had a top 10 run. I mean, all of us had a top 10 run, which ain't really happy for us. So Mikey had top 10, Matt Busa got 5th, Rob got 7th. So I mean, the setup was good tonight. I want to thank Gale Force Suspension, Ream. I want to thank Jeff Addison at NASCAR Hall of Fame. I want to thank Rude. I want to thank Monster Energy. I want to thank just everyone who's on the car, Tim's Corner, and especially I want to send my condolences to the Morgan Schooley's family. The whole sim race community lost a very courageous person earlier this week, so condolences go out to his family. And we ran a couple decals on the car the past couple races from my good friend Eric Downs. His nephew passed away. His name was Seth Downs, and passed away at a very young age in a car accident. So I just want to thank all my guys for helping me on this setup each and every week. It was a blast to drive tonight.
We also pass along those sentiments, Nick, to the Schooley family, and he will be missed at iRacing. Nick, fantastic job. You are the winner here at Kansas in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. We're going to send it up to Tony Stevens, who's caught up with your second-place driver, Tyler Hudson.
Second time in a week. Tyler, I'm talking to you. Unfortunately, this time, one spot short. But you gave it a valiant effort. What could you have done differently in those last 2 laps to maybe hold on to that lead that you had?
Yeah, it was a very good effort. Really, just I don't know what else I could have done. Nick was just so quick, man. He had a really, really good car. Congrats to him on the win. Those last few restarts, I spun them one time. I got a better start the next time, and then that final restart, I got it just about perfect. And it was kind of a gutsy move there, but I just went for it. I don't know what's going on. It's like somebody pinched me. The last 3 races in a row have come down to exciting finishes like this, and I've been lucky enough to be a part of them. And I went to turn 1 and didn't lift until pretty much, I thought I was going to hit the wall. And then I got out of it and slid up, and I knew he was going to come with a run, and I could have probably moved the car down about a foot or so more, and he would have had to hit me, and we would have wrecked or something. So it just wasn't worth it. I just made an effort, and really my only shot was during the process, hope for a caution there in turn 1 and get lucky. But it ended the way it did, and I'm really, really happy about it, and happy Nick won. He had the best car. It would have been a steal if he didn't win. So, it is what it is.
Yeah, his 5th win of the year. He certainly is leading everybody by far in that department. In fact, he's locked up the title for most wins this year. But you have got a shot at the title now, Tyler. After Ray's bad luck opening, in the opening laps of the race, I should say, the gap before the drops, 27 points. And if you do the math real quick on the drops, that makes it about 25 points. Now, pretty much half of what it was coming into tonight. Do you have an extra shot in the arm to maybe try to get by Ray? I know he's got to be really, really good every single race that he unloads, including the next 2, but is there any extra motivation there to try to find a way to make those points up?
Well, it's hard to say no, but certainly we're looking at it, but honestly, he's got to have crap happen like tonight, or these next few races also, which, it's certainly possible, but if you know Ray's record and his ability, that's just highly unlikely. But, you saw it happen tonight. It could happen, and, I haven't really looked at the drop points, but I know we were like 48 points out before the drop points, and it didn't help that a lot of people didn't show up this week, so even though he was trashed, he still got like 20th or something, so that didn't help. But, really, a top 3 in points, I would be really, really happy. Top 2 would just be awesome. It's been a really, really good year. Pretty much, a dream year for me, a breakout year, whatever you want to call it. I've never ran this good in this series before, ever, and so it's hard to be disappointed with the year. But, like I said, anything can happen, so we'll keep looking, and maybe you'll have some more bad luck. I hate to say that, but that's really the only shot we got.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, Tyler. Next week, of course, is Dover, the high-banked 1-mile speed plant coated in concrete. Very different type of racetrack. I know it's a place you've had some success at in the past, although not in this series. Do you have any sort of expectations already, even though we're a week away?
Well, no, not really. We need I know some of the guys on the team have ran some laps there and already got a decent base set up. And, if we're anywhere like we've been these last 3 weeks, I've got nothing to worry about. We'll have really good cars. I think I got a top 5 there one season, and so I think I can drive the place. And this car, for whatever reason, even if I've never ran good at a track, with this car it seems to I seem to run a little bit better. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad to get away from Kansas. That was a race we just needed to get over with.
Well, you got over with it, or got it over with very, very quickly in a very, very advantageous position. Before I let you go, Tyler, I know there's a lot of people that do make it happen on the Ada Sign Wraps machine. Who are they?
Yeah, first of all, just, like everybody else has probably said, condolences to the Morgan Scully family. That's just a heart-wrencher, and thoughts and prayers with his family and his friends here on iRacing. It's tough for everybody. But, the same guys as the last couple weeks, everybody at One Up, they did a great job. They put in a lot of effort, and they've already started at Dover. I think we were just a tick off tonight, but, I was so loose, I just decided to not take fuel for like the last 50 laps, and that really helped us at the end. But, those guys at One Up, John Ada, Al Smith with UpstateRacingShow.com, Lisa in the other room watching, and thank you guys for the broadcast, iRacing, for letting us play this stuff and have fun like we do.
Well, have fun you do, as you said, and congratulations. Second place to Tyler Hudson. Tim Terry standing by with the other guys standing on the podium tonight, Tim.
And that's Byron Daly, and another great run for this number 93 car. But Byron, you probably had the most interesting seat on that green-white checker finish. You saw the battle in front of you. You were involved in that battle for a second for a little while, and then the next corner you had Matt Busa underneath you. Talk about that battle to the finish on the green-white checker.
Yeah, I was really hoping that Tyler and Nick would, get together and, make it a little bit more interesting for myself. I tried to make a move going into turn 3, and I just realized I wasn't going to clear either of them doing a big slide job, so I had to lift, and that gave everybody the run on me. I just stayed high on the straightaway, hopefully nobody got to my right, and kind of banked it off the wall in 1 and 2 to, keep the third position. So it was pretty crazy. I am surprised I even finished in this position with how my race went, but heck, being in the running for, another win and getting another top 5 was, that was awesome.
Yeah, talk about how the race went. You had front and rear damage from the same little jam up earlier in the race. Talk about what happened there.
Well, my race kind of went down the drain when Brandon Smith decided to stuff me in the wall when I was on the outside going to turn 1. So I ended up back there when those guys got together and jammed up and punched the nose in and started overheating. I was actually clutching going into the corners trying to, keep the car, cool. Luckily, the caution came out. I was able to fix it, and, we put the tape back on it and ran well. We were in position to, take 2 and end up back in the top 5, and that's what we did. And after that, the race just unfolded in our favor. It was great.
You've had 2 great runs in these last 2 weeks. How big of a shot of the arm is this heading into these final 2 races?
Oh, man, this is big. I mean, we have new intelligence on board now, and I think the natural focus is really starting to pay off. It was a crazy race, but somehow it all came together. I think the next 2 weeks we're going to have some awesome runs and just finish out this year on a high note. After the dismal start we had, I think these last few weeks have definitely proven that we could still get this done.
And talk about focus, a track that requires a lot of focus next week, Dover. We've seen a lot of cautions here. I'm sure we're going to see a couple next week. What are your expectations heading into the Monster Mile?
I think Dover is going to be a lot about qualifying. If you can qualify up front, you'll stay out of the big one because there's nowhere to go when people crash there. So it's going to be a monster. It's going to be a pretty entertaining race. I recommend you guys tune in. But I think we're going to run well. I like Dover. I don't really hate any tracks, but Dover is one I love to drive because I just have a little rhythm that I like getting in there. So if we can get the car good, we'll run good again, and hopefully we can stay out of the problems that occur on the racetrack.
You mentioned new intelligence. Who else is on this race car? Who else helps you out with the setup to get you to the racetrack?
I just got to thank, the guys that had spotted for me. Chad Coleman, he retired from the series, but he decided to sit on the box with Tyler Young tonight, and they did a good job. Parker Kligerman for, continuing to support my sim racing. It's, been great having them on board. And, just guys like that, guys that hammer down, everyone like that.
And that is Byron Daly coming home in position number 3 this evening. Jake Sturgis not here. I don't see him here. So Nim Cross is down with our 5th place finisher, driver number 34, Matt Busa.
Matt Busa, great top 5 here at the Kansas Motor Speedway today. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, it started off really well with second place qualifying, not for my best yet. I spent a lot of work this weekend qualifying trim. And then the first 50 laps of the race, hung up there, top 2, following Nick. And then a bit later, got basically taken out by a pro driver and had 3 minutes of damage. Somehow, with all the cautions, got that fixed and stayed out on a late caution. Got track position and wound up in 5th.
Obviously, the groove was up high tonight, which is unusual for the racing that we normally see. How does that change your strategy, and how did that go for you tonight?
Yeah, I actually like racing on the high side. It was just something different. If it was like this every week, I'd probably not like it as much, but I mean, it was really hard to pass here. But I used to, back in Nascar racing 2003, always ran the BR line up there. So to me, it was lots of fun.
Dover next week, and that's another tough track. What are your prospects for there?
Hopefully it'll be another top 10 run. We should have a really good base set there from a couple months earlier in Class A around there. But probably a top 10 and I'll be happy.
Tell us who makes it happen for you.
Gotta thank my sponsors, Aero Loose Racing. They hopped on board at Indy and have stuck with me ever since. Micron Industries, my spotter, Zach Hudson. He kept me calm after I got taken out there. My team, Gale Force. And I gotta thank my buddies back home, the 630 crew, my boy Lane Ton, and the Kumahavi brothers, the Viku and Paulie. They've been really good friends this year. And my parents who are probably watching right now.
Great job tonight, Matt, bringing her home in a top 5 finish here at the Kansas Motor Speedway. We're going to send it over to Tony Stevens, who's caught up with Adam Gilliland.
Yeah, very briefly have caught up with Adam Gilliland. And Adam, I know obviously you didn't finish in the top 5. You ran up there in the closing laps, got past there late, but I know you had some things you wanted to say on air that you thought maybe you're going to earn the spot but didn't quite get there. But nonetheless, we'll give you a couple of moments here. What exactly was on your mind?
Well, yeah, tonight was just a difficult race. I started mid-pack and actually climbed into the top 15 relatively early and then ended up getting in the wall with Brad Davies. But if you can describe a roller coaster on iRacing, that's what happened to me tonight. I went from 35th to 10th to 20th, back up into the top 5, and then blew it out of turn 4 to Matt and Jake. But overall, it's not a bad night. It's been a rough season for me. It's good to rebound like this and hopefully secure myself in the top 20 for next season. But before I'm done right here, I just want to say my thoughts and prayers are with Morgan Chuley's family as they go through this difficult time. Morgan was a really good friend of mine, and it's really tragic to see that happen to a good individual like he is.
Absolutely. I think all of us share those same sentiments, and we send our positive energy, if you will, to his family, and in particular his little boy. I know that one is certainly the big thing that all of us, I think, have on our minds is his son and his wife, of course, having to raise a son without dad around. Certainly a very, very hard situation to find yourself in. And Adam, while you're here, I know you have a lot of people that make it possible for you to be here as well in the 81, and who are they?
Yeah, it's been a while since I got an interview, so I got to thank Brendan Mercer with Gary Mercer Trucking Inc. for sticking with me this long. It's been a rough season, but I'm glad to be able to get a good finish for him. I also got to thank Tim's Corner Motorsports for being on the car, as well as JD Laird for painting my car. He does a great job with JDR Graphics. That's
Adam Gilliland, finishes 6th here tonight, Tim, and he, like everybody else, I think, in the field and in the broadcast booth, mine's in a little bit different place than normal tonight.
And a exciting, different strategy sort of race, a Kansas Speedway that really ran like a Darlington this evening. Tony, we'll look at final thoughts, and the big thing, we look at this, 25 points going into the next 2 races with that drop factored in. It equals out to 12 to 13 positions a race that Tyler Hudson needs to gain on Ray Alfala. It can be done.
Very easily it can be done. You have another race like happened here tonight. and it could be a flop or a flip or whatever you want to call it in the points to where Hudson's leading and Alfala is in second. It doesn't take a lot. We're going to a race, actually really 2 racetracks where it's still very possible that it could happen in Dover and in Homestead. So things are not done by any means in the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship. Tyler Hudson still very much alive, and Ray Alfala very much driving for his 3rd consecutive title. And he will need to earn it, I think. Tyler Hudson very motivated. And at least the last few races has been much faster than Ray Alfala. 13 positions faster? I don't think so. But he's been faster at least to where maybe a little bit of bad luck on the part of Ray could work in the Tyler Hudson's favor. As far as the race goes, typical worn-out style racetrack racing up against the outside wall. Very different. It was all about track position. You had to have a car that worked well. You had to be patient, and you had to be very, very precise in pulling off your passes. Yeah, we crashed some cars up. Yeah, we tore a bunch of stuff up. But you know what? The racing itself, too, was very, very good because guys really had to be up on the wheel to make it happen. And hopefully we can work this type of lack of grip into some more of the tracks in iRacing as time goes on.
Nimcross, final thoughts. Exciting race here, but next week, Dover in our 3rd of 3 races in a back-to-back-to-back stretch.
Well, Kansas was exciting, and it had a lot of the what I call the greatest moves in motorsports, and that's the slide jobs. I love slide jobs, and we saw some of them here tonight. A couple of them didn't work, but a lot of really, really good ones too. Dover in a couple weeks. Dover is a great high bank track. It's a bull ring, that's for sure, and the monster will reach out and grab you. So we'll look for a lot of the same there, a lot of excitement, a lot of bench sheet metal, and we'll see who brings her home.
Be sure to head to wcs.iracing.com, which is the microsite for the World Championship Series, not only the NASCAR iRacing.com Series World Championship, but also the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. That's wcs.iracing.com. Want to thank everybody that helps put on this show. Zach Stanko, Ian Bushing, Ilka Hapola, Chuck Johnson, Matt Racing, Kid Thomas, Nimcross, and Tony Stevens. On behalf of the entire crew, we send our condolences out to the family of Morgan Schooley. And we will see you next week when we say, let's go racing from the Dover International Speedway. Keep the hammer down, and we'll see you at the track.